Welcome back, everybody, to Inkergalactic Cup 2, hosted by IkaSportsTV. Had some technical difficulties, but we are back in it right now, and we will be zooming in here on the last Western team that is left in this tournament, and wouldn't you know it, it is Team Olive. They will be taking on one stormy night, but if they lose, that means no Western teams will have made it past top 12. What a stacked tournament this is.
Yeah, just to give y'all an update on some of the teams that attempted to make it out and had to fall to other teams. Splash able to take out El Firmament 2-0. That's another Western team gone there. Orcs Esports falling as well in losers round 3 to a clean sweep. They are going to get taken out by, I believe, if my Hiragana is correct, that's Hanama, who's going to be able to take them out and move on to losers round 4. And then Neptune falling to one Stormy Knight, who is going to be Team Olive's opponent. Team Olive able to take out Quantum as they go to a game 3, and Team Olive comes out on top. Quantum, of course, had that run in losers where they defeated Legacy, Altira Blue, and then fell very closely to Team Olive. But Team Olive, as you mentioned, the last hope, Rising Moon also making it to losers round 4, but that game already over as Perfect Logic, the Cinderella story from the winners bracket, has made it through and defeated them 2-0. They will take on Dark Horse in losers round 5. So we have quite an astounding match for you guys today. The winner of this set between One Stormy Night and Team Olive will be moving on to take on the loser from the 4v5 matchup that we were watching earlier between Shomona Games and Kua Tetsuchinu. So a lot of heavy implications here in this tournament.
Absolutely. And One Stormy Night, a very stacked roster. This is one that has been highlighted in purple. For those of you who don't know, any team that is highlighted in purple here on our list that we have, this little cheat sheet, is a very, very strong team. Has Ukami, Denchan, Fukuhaya, and then Jito, who I don't know, Zach, if you watched the original Platinum Cup back in Splatoon 1, but Jito was the MVP of that tournament. I got to cast that one with Toad Silly way back in the day. But the point I'm trying to make here is the caliber of players at this point. They are all top players. We said Team Olive is a team of ones. Every team that is left is a team of ones. So we should see an incredible display here from all respects. And I'm really looking to see what Olive can do here. They had a close set there with Quantum. And Quantum is a very good team. But you would hope that Olive would have a little bit stronger of a showing there. They did get the win. That's what's important. But Olive's got to get something figured out, because the last set they played against a top Japanese team did not go so well. So we'll see what they're able to put together here.
Yeah, so just as a recap here, Team Olive starting their day off with a very, very close set, beating Mountain 3-2, then moving on to face Ninja, who ended up sweeping through them. Ninja would go on to lose in Game 5 to Story Overnight, who is currently sitting in the winner's semifinals, taking on Myotonia. On the other side of things, One Stormy Night lost in Round 2 to Dark Horse, who actually played in Round 1 and defeated C Sharp, our only Finnish team. And then was able to complete another sweep. In fact, they had 3 sweeps in a row before losing in winners round 4. But back to One Stormy Night, as they lose, they fall all the way down, and they're able to take out Greed Squids 2-0. They had a bye as Takeover dropped, and then defeated Neptune, one of North America's last hopes, 2-0 to take it to make it over to losers round 4 and take on Team Olive now. So again, to mention, this is going to be a best of 3, so each game matters a tremendous amount. Each mistake is amplified tenfold compared to something like a best of 5 or a best of 7, so you really have to be on top of your game. And with a map like Kelp Dome, you always have to be checking around your shoulder, because the enemy team could be coming from anywhere.
Absolutely. We saw Kelp Dome at Squidstorm most recently went 100-0, and that was late in the tournament. That was Komodo versus Paramoon. So that was the 2 and 3 seed. And even amongst teams of that caliber, it is still a very, very heavy-hitting map. So you are absolutely right there that you have to be very careful. And to have that as a game 1 is terrifying. After that, you have Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard. We've already seen that map today. We've seen that mode today. We know what that is capable of. Some very exciting games there. And then we finish up on Tower Control Inkblot Art Academy, which we have also seen. We've seen how scary that one is. So 3 very, very scary games here. Although I suppose in a best of 3, they're all pretty scary.
And once again, they're relatively big maps. Kelp Dome, of course, has the added advantage of the catwalk, the grates that you can walk around upon. Most Japanese teams are allocating themselves pretty similarly from what I've seen in terms of their weapon compositions, not really ever using any sloshers other than the sloshing machine, not really going for splatlings. I've only seen 1 or 2 chargers come out. It's more so shooter heavy and blaster heavy to go with things like the sloshing machine and the occasional splat brella. So they're favoring things like that Stingray, like the Inkstorm. So a lot of things we've seen that are very popular in terms of special weapon usage in the current meta. But this is, again, like I mentioned earlier in the tournament, one of the most diverse metas we've ever seen. So we have the potential to see things like Tenta missiles, like the Inkjet, like the Ink Armor that the NZAP provides, the NZAP being another very popular weapon as of late. So if this is anything like what we've seen so far, it's going to be very aggressive, very heated. You're going to see some large double-digit KAs, and again, all the attention is going to have to be on the middle part of the zone, the middle part of the map, because the zone doesn't move anywhere. It's all going to be focused on one centralized area, and that only leads naturally to a bloodbath.
A bloodbath, and I expect to see Ninja Squid. I expect to see lots of Ninja Squid here. But it will be interesting because this is one of the maps where you can certainly still run Sloshing Machine. It's a great weapon, but I don't know that we'll see as big of a focus on Sloshing Machine. We might see a Rapid Blaster for the Bomb Rush. I think there's a good chance we'll see a Range Blaster, but that's only because it has that Ink Cloud to take that big zone. I know, especially in Japan, Rain Cloud is being favored, about as favored can be. There's a Splat Zones tournament, a big Splat Zones tournament that'll be going on. Everyone is going to be running Rain Cloud here, so let's keep an eye on how many Rain Clouds we do have. And with Olive, Erza was the catalyst for most of the plays that they were making, so we'll see if they're able to call out Erza and kind of slow him down, because Ninja got the 3-0 victory, but it looked like things were going to get away from them there for a little while, and it was because of the pressure that Erza was able to put on them. We'll see what plans they have for Erza and the movement, because I feel like Olive's movement should be good. It should be good on a map like this. They should be able to move around and take the turf, and we'll just have to see. We haven't seen one Stormy Night today, but they've made a great run, so we'll see what strength they have and how they've been getting their wins here in this first game.
A lot of implications going forward. One quick thing to note before we get started here, Nike from Team Olive actually was in bed as this tournament was about to start and actually got called in to make sure that he could play it. So feeling probably a bit groggy, but trying to do their best here as they are moving through the losers bracket. This is still a best of 3. Both teams opting to run that NZAP and also the Range Blaster, so they're going to be favoring the Ink Armor and the Ink Storm. That's no surprise. We've been seeing that all tournament. The Hero Shot, which is the same as the Splatter Shot, essentially coming out as well. We see the nice direct there. That's going to be a 2-kill engage there as they end the last one in a trade, and that's going to be the zone going over to one Stormy Night. So a great start for them. They're going to start getting into this catwalk here. It fits the umbrella nicely because it just farms that Inkstorm so quickly. So by the time Team Olive has enough resources to get back in the middle part of the map, they're already going to have to contend with things like an Inkstorm from one Stormy Night. How fitting is that?
Okay, you get on me for making the puns, but you get to make all
it's rubbing off, apparently.
I see how it is. But right here, Jay, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is Jito going to get taken out by Nike. Some great movement there. This whole pushback started with Nike being the one that was back at the back and got that Inkstorm that allowed them to move in. I'm sorry, the Ink Armor, rather, that allowed them to move in. So Nike, that's really been his role here in Splatoon 2. The anchor, the person that does damage control that allows them to get back in. The last one left. They've done a great job. Double Inkstorm coming in. We talked about it, and there it is. They are going to lose the lead, and they're also going to go 4 down in the process. What looked like it was going to be a strong position for them to get back in instead goes the other way. Great job of playing strong defense there by Team Olive.
One thing we love to mention about Kelp Dome is that it can be a very snowballing map. It takes a little while for you to get from your spawn to the middle part of the map unless you use that box right in front of your spawn. If you like to go around the choke point, it can take a very long time, so that gives the enemy team a lot of time to build up specials. And you can see here Team Olive with 3 specials at the ready and one Stormy Night with 2 as one gets used to, that being the Ink Armor. They're getting into single digits here. They're going to have to expend that Inkstorm soon from the Range Blaster to make sure that this lead stays pat. They lose it at 2 though. But by the same token, One Stormy Night losing 2 of their members. We'll see here if this continues. They are going to get the zone back and hold on for victory. So a great opening game for Team Olive as they try to establish a precedent that they are not going anywhere and they are okay with being the West's last hope. They are 1 game away from moving on to losers round 5.
After getting wiped so early, I was really worried that back in they were going to trickle, but they proved me wrong, and they got back in and got 2 consecutive wipes. You saw Nike there with 4 ink armors. We talked a lot about the one that allowed them to get back in, but great performance there. 9 KA and the 4 ink armors. I mean, you can talk all you want about maybe Nike having a more reserved role, but he was the catalyst that made that happen, that started all of that. And once that happened, the intense slaying power allowed Team Olive to execute their game plan and get a big Game 1 win. Let's go ahead and do a sync test real quick.
Yeah, no problem. I am at 67, 66, 65, 64, 63,
All right.
62. So I believe I have to either pause a little bit or refresh the stream here because I might be a little bit behind, but I'm just going to ensure that we are pretty well synced up here as we move on to game number 2. Don't want to miss any of the action going forward here as we move on to Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard, another very large map, and we are indeed going to be seeing the double splatter shot comp coming out from Team Olive. On the flip side of things, they're going to be sticking with the end zap, the splashdown of the hero shot, then the range blaster, and the sloshing machine. So a plethora of specials going to be coming out from them.
Absolutely, and I love this double splatter shot comp here. It's not as varied. Some people don't like it, but the splatter shot is a strong weapon for a reason. And again, a full wipe. We're seeing that hero shot. Only 1 hero shot coming out, so I was right in saying I love the splatter shot. I guess I just picked the wrong one. They're going to get it all the way down to right around 50. They're still going here. The range blaster going to be enough there from Sendo. The pressure's still going to come on in the zone, but that is going to be what's more or less a full wipe. Still one in the middle, but this game started exactly the same as the last one does.
Yeah, a bit of a just panic rush by Team Olive to get back from spawn quick enough to try and shut down that Rainmaker push. Thankfully for them, they were able to get it right at the halfway mark. That could have been easily a knockout or at least pushed up to the 20s or 10s. So nice job there, but they're again going to go 3 down. It's just the sloshing machine who's electing to try and stay alive. Nike will finally fall, and that is going to be an opportunity again for One Stormy Night to push forward here. Olive expending a lot of resources and not getting too much out of it. The map control in general still favoring One Stormy Night. They will expend the Stingray very wisely to try and take down the Rainmaker carrier successfully. Erza backs up just enough to get away from that splashdown, which again is one of the most specials we're seeing most often in these days because of the splatter shot just being such a powerful weapon. The range blaster by the same token bringing the Inkstorm into play here. We haven't seen it all that much because One Stormy Night really isn't needed that much. They've been able to very effectively back Team Olive up and get some map control in mid, but right now that finally seems to be turning here as Team Olive is looking to get past that halfway mark and reclaim the lead.
Team Olive has not done a great job of getting the big doubles. The last thing that they did there in that first game was they got the full wipe, and then they were able to kind of move in and then get them in that trickle-down effect that we've talked so much about. Here they haven't been able to do that. They've only been able to take 1 down and then 2 of them go down. It's been a very even game in terms of the kills, so we'll see if they're able to get anything. Sendo in a very strong position on the left side of the map. But right now, the Stingray is kind of hurting them over one way. If Soren can come up big for them here, that would be big. And, well, that's essentially a kill, getting one to fall off the map there. The range blaster knowing, I can't do anything. Let me try to get a kill here as I fall off the map. But this is what they've been looking for. That's a 3-down situation. Erza leading the charge. Soren going over there as well. But the Stingray, as it so often does, being the ultimate buzzkill here in this game.
Yeah, I believe that actually was Jito getting the kill there. Nice job to not only take out the Rainmaker carrier, but get Soren in the process as well. But the Rainmaker's not done yet. Also taking out Sendo, so Jito having to play the ultimate wall here, being the main defense for One Stormy Night as they stop what could have been a game leading push here, as they would have taken it over past the halfway mark. But right now, it's more of a neutral game again, as we're under 2 minutes left to go in this game. Nike backing all the way back up to use the Stingray here. They're going to try and locate either the Rainmaker or the hero shot. They will successfully get the Rainmaker, which is about the best target you can pick. But it's 1 down on both sides now, 2 down on the side of Team Olive. So still an opportunity here for One Stormy Night to continue pushing forward. And as you can see here, both teams very much favoring what most teams consider the optimal strategy for the Rainmaker on this map, which is pushing it up that alleyway.
Oh boy, this flank went all the way around. If they can get this splatter shot, and they can't. I can't tell right now if it was Erza. Erza may have just saved the game for them. You see Jito still there on the left side. That flank had come all the way around. They had nobody up on that left side who was going to be able to stop them from getting it into the 40s. A huge kill there. And I was just about to say before that happened, both of these teams are doing just enough to not let everything fall through. They're plugging all of the holes in the ship so that it doesn't sink, but it's still taking in some water. It's just going to be about which one of them does not plug that final hole. We'll see which one it's going to be as we enter the final minute of gameplay.
That's a pretty fantastic analogy, I'm not going to lie. But it looks like Team Olive has finally rallied all their forces. They're all bunching up together. That's exactly what you need to start doing here, is getting your resources to try and take on enemy teammates so that you don't have to do a 1v1. Senna pushing all the way forward for the lead there. Beautiful job. They finally elect not to go into the alleyway, and it pays off in spades for them, and they're not done yet. Soren continuing to push forward, and it looks like he's the only one there. He might even be able to get the knockout. He stopped at the 1 mark. So now it's going to require a definite knockout here in the last 20 or so seconds of the game for One Stormy Night to come back. A beautiful play, all facilitated by that start, going through mid instead of in that left-hand side alley, and it works out so beautifully for them. They're going to have to take the Rainmaker all the way across the entire length of the map if One Stormy Night still wants to force a game 3.
And what, just the idea to put forces there on that left side, to have everyone go in that direction and then pivot back over to the middle, knowing it was going to go. A great job. Stingray is going to go ahead and get the kill there for them at the end. But what presence of mind. What a great opportunity that they had earned for themselves there. Sent everybody on the left side except for Sendel, who had the Rainmaker, who opted to go mid, got a little bit of backup there. Then Soren came through to pick it up that second time, and we've seen so many times a team do just that, pivot the other way on Rainmaker, and a lot of Splatoon 2's maps allow for just that. Team Olive saying our journey isn't done yet, and wow, I love Rainmaker for that reason exactly. What versatility, what permeability there from Team Olive, continuing this loser's run.
And that was not an overwhelming 2-0. That was a very close back and forth set between Team Olive and One Stormy Night. And it looked like we were going to be going to a game 3. But Team Olive, I called it out there. They had rallied their forces. They were all together. They had a plan in mind. They got that map control in mid, and then they pushed forward. They grouped up on that left-hand side, faking like they were going to try and climb up that alleyway once again. And then all of a sudden, they did some sort of blitz attack. They split up 2 and 2. 2 going down that left-hand side ramp, and the other 2 going to the right-hand side, closer to the middle where that ramp leads up to the pedestal. So that's how they were able to get it up to that 35 mark initially and claim the lead, is that they were able to dupe One Stormy Night into thinking that they were going to group up on the left-hand side and go for that alleyway push, which has been so consistently the premium pick of teams with Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard. But then they decided to go with the old quarterback sneak, essentially, going to the right-hand side, getting it up to 35, after that, punching it all the way up to 1, and from there, with less than a minute left, there's no recovery, really. They had one opportunity. One Stormy Night was not able to capitalize on it, not surprisingly, as they had to get it all the way across the entire length of the map. And Team Olive, because of it, going to continue to be the West's last hope in this tournament. They will now take on Shomona Games, who was not able to win in their winners match against Kiwi Tetsu Chinu, and they will have a very fantastic set coming up here. Again, a best of 3 as we continue on in this losers bracket. Elsewhere in the winners bracket, Story Overnight able to 3-0 Myotonia, so they will be making it to the winners finals. The 16 and 5th seeds currently battling it out in the other winners semifinal match. So what a crazy tournament we've been having.
Absolutely. And you know, enough can't be said for just the way, how difficult it is to win these games. You look at Story Overnight. They went 3-1 against Neptune. Then they went 3-2 against Ninja. And then they 3-0 Myotonia. And that just shows how close a lot of these games are. I feel like we've said this whole not an overwhelming 2-0, not an overwhelming 3-0. And that shows you just how difficult these games are to win, how close a victory can be to a loss, how one play can earn that win for you, and how if either one of those bounces or anything goes one way that doesn't go that way, that's the difference between a game. That's exactly what happens there. These teams are so good. Their punish games, if you will, are so strong. They can make the pushes, and it's just such a joy to watch here.
So I believe the TOs are currently deciding which match we're going to be watching next. We will likely be bouncing back up into the winner's bracket. I'm not sure if that second winner's semifinal match has already gotten underway. It likely has. So the next match we will likely be seeing is going to be the winner's finals between Story Overnight, and the winner of the matchup currently taking place between Kitaino Team and CUNY Tetsuchinu. I'll be very interested to see who comes out of that. They've both had very interesting runs. Kitaino Team, of course, coming out of it with a win 3-0 over Quantum in their first game of the day. Then, of course, the surprise we were talking about, them sweeping through Splash in winners round 3, then only losing one game to Dark Horse as they continue their dominance. On the flip side of things, the number 5 seed overall, that being CUNY Tetsuchinu, they had a pretty fantastic run of it as well going forward. They started their day out in round number 2, defeating Dimension 3-0. Then they were able to take a close 3-2 win in the winners round number 3 before going on. We saw the first game of that 4v5 matchup, and they were able to pull it out with a 3-1 victory. So I will be incredibly excited to see who comes out of that. Meanwhile, Team Olive are going to be locked in the 4 versus 2 matchup as they, in their next match, are going to be taking on Shomona Games. Again, with Team Olive being the West's last hope. Elsewhere in the losers bracket, Ninja currently awaiting their next opponent. 2000, the number 3 seed, taking on the number 1 seeded Splash. And Dark Horse taking on Perfect Logic in the Cinderella Story matchup.
Cinderella Story, indeed. And we've talked about it here, how it's a Cinderella story, but at the same time, we're always kind of scratching our heads at how these happen, and then we remember, the talent pool is so deep here that Cinderella stories just seem like commonplace. How many times have we commentated this tournament and a Japanese team that we aren't familiar with just comes out and wins it, takes out a top team, and that just showcases how much the region loves Splatoon and how much they play it. And like I said earlier, I will gladly get up early in the morning on Saturdays to watch this kind of Splatoon. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun here at Inkergalactic Cup 2, hosted by IkaSportsTV. And if you are just joining us, this tournament started with 11 different countries represented. I cannot think of another tournament that has had that much, so we'll go ahead and say the most representation we've seen in terms of a worldwide audience. We're now down to just a couple. Of course, Team Olive is made of a mashup of different countries, players from different countries from Europe. But other than that, it is all Japan, and they are showing why they are still the perennial powerhouse of Splatoon.
There's always something that these teams can learn, and a tournament like this one really displays that, because these are teams that are all very, very fantastic, have been playing in a lot of tournaments and have been doing relatively well for themselves, not only in their respective regions, but also against other regions. We just have not seen a tournament, however, with this many different countries represented. So we saw teams like Red Ink from Russia, like C Sharp from Finland, like the several Hong Kong teams that we saw that we just never see in tournament play anymore. Also, a couple teams from places like France and Mexico that we hadn't seen too much. But again, with such stiff competition, some boards are finally going to break, and we saw that in the form of teams that we usually see many wins and top tournament placings out of. So as we have filtered now down into all Japanese teams with the exception of Team Olive, it just goes to show that there is always something that you can be learning, always new VODs that you can be studying, new strategies to discover, new weapons to master, and of course, new strategies to develop with your team, whether you're a pickup squad or a squad that's been together for a long time. These are all players that have been playing the game for such a long time. They know the ins and outs of the game very well, and it's just so fun to see all of them play because they're putting on an exposition for us, and it's incredibly nice that we get to witness it.
Absolutely. We do have a report here. It looks like Dark Horse, our 25 seed, does get the win over Perfect Logic, the 43. Dark Horse has been... I wonder if they predicted this with the name Dark Horse. They have been a Dark tournament. That's not even a pun, man. That's just narrative fun. They got the 3-0 victory over One Stormy Night, then the 3-0 over Re-SPC. The only team that they lost to was a Kitaino team, which has been the dominating force here, taking out Splash. They're, of course, currently locked up against Kyoto Chinu. We do not yet have the results, but if they get that win, they will move on to winners finals, and that means the only team that Dark Horse has lost to is one of arguably the top 2 teams in the tournament, certainly one of the top 3 teams in the tournament if they do make it to winners finals. So Dark Horse might make another run. They might be the team to watch here in the later stages of this bracket. Of course, if they win this, by winning this, they will play the winner of Shimona Games and Team Olive. So we will see now if Team Olive does manage to get past Shimona Games, they will be up against Dark Horse. So we'll see. This is a gauntlet by any means. Following Team Olive scene, this would be the most incredible tournament run because we already know that Myotonia awaits the winner of Dark Horse and whoever they play. So any way you look at this, this is this is some heavy lifting, to put it lightly. Get it?
It really. I struggle to even give you a response to that one. Just the consistent puns.
I am in rare form.
It must be the earliness of the hour, or just the wide variety of names we're seeing in this tournament. But something has completely set you off. But you mentioned a gauntlet, and that's exactly what it is. No matter which side of the bracket you're on, you're gonna face just some of the most incredible talent that Splatoon has to offer here. Dark Horse, of course, as you mentioned, awaiting the winner of the Shomona Games and Team Olive set. They were able to take down Perfect Logic. If you remember, in the losers bracket before that, Perfect Logic able to defeat Rising Moon, considered a very, very potent Western team, defeating them 2-0. So they took one of the West's biggest answers and shut them down pretty immediately. And then after that, the winner of that set taking on Myotonia, only dropping a set to Story Overnight. They 3-0'd the number 3 seed overall, 2000, in winners round 4. And before that, were able to take out Perfect Logic 3-2. So that ended their sort of very strong run. Perfect Logic, as you remember, took out Ethereal, who again is considered another big Western team, 3-2 in the second round of the tournament. So all of these teams have already been very heavily tested in this tournament, and they have emerged still able to play in this set. So as we move on forward here, the only other thing I have to report is that Ninja did lose 2-0. So they are out of the tournament after having such a successful run, losing to the eventual winners finalist here, Story Overnight 3-2. Ninja is now out of the tournament in their first game of losers. So a pretty unfortunate way for them to end. But again, that just harkens back to the point of every team that's left in this tournament is so strong. It's really anybody's guess as to how these games are going to play out.
And the team that they lose to was Zugadan Zunbungun. So I don't blame you at all for not wanting to try that.
That was a tough one.
That was a very tough one. So that is the team that they lost to, a team that we haven't really talked about. We haven't gotten to watch today, but if they keep winning, we may yet get to see them here. A big win there.
No.
Sorry?
That's not true. Stop it.
We do apologize for that. We will be waiting for the next game to be coming up here. I do believe it will still be winners finals, as the second winners semifinals match already did get started. So Story Overnight, the only team we know for sure is going to be there. The big story with them, they've only dropped one game to Neptune and 2 games to Ninja across this winners bracket here. They were able to 3-0 Myotonia, who I guess with their position right now is one of the strongest teams to look out for. So we have a lot of big things to expect out of them. I'm going to be expecting some very, very revolutionary play coming up from them to see how they've only dropped 3 total games in these 5 rounds.
3 total games over these 5 rounds. This kind of bracket, I'm stunned. I agree. I really cannot wait to see what they do. And maybe it is something different. Maybe it's just better of what we have seen. In any case, I'm very excited for it. But we do have something to report. I think that something was incorrectly entered on the bracket. we have heard from on high that Ninja is not yet out, that they have actually not started their set. And as I look at the bracket again, maybe I should have noticed that it was a 0-0 win for one team, and that maybe there was something a little fishy about that, but that match has not yet occurred. So Ninja still in. So if any of you are following Ninja or like the fact that they have a cat emoji next to the name Ninja, which I do, they are still in. That set has yet to be played. So a quick correction and update there.
It did originally say 2-0, but thankfully the TOs have caught wind of that. They have corrected it so that we still do not know who the winner of that set is going to be. So Ninja's still very much alive. That is a team that I would definitely be looking out for should they make it through to this next round. They will have a very, very tough competition if they do, as they're going to be facing the winner of 2000 and Splash going into this tournament seated at number 1 and number 3. So they're going to have a very, very difficult battle ahead of them. Of course, with Dark Horse awaiting the winner of this next set, it's anybody's guess as to who is going to emerge alive. But we are just seeing the most talented squids come out to play here. And again, I like to mention these teams are all across the world here. They were when they started out, so they were playing at all different time zones. For Europe, it's about the middle of the day. It's early afternoon. But for Japan, it's getting pretty late. So I'll be interested to see if that at all affects the way that they go forward in this tournament, if they get it all tired, if they start making any careless errors. But I'm sure, as many of them are teens or in their early 20s, that they're pretty used to staying up late.
Wow, way to reveal our age here, Zach.
I don't think it's a secret, but like,
yeah,
we're pretty resilient beings.
This is true. So right now here you see, we'll comment. Oh, that's good. Give that a fresh. Thank you.
Whoa.
We're seeing BTM go around here and Knuckles. We're seeing BTM go around here and give fresh to the deserving squids here in the Splatfest lobby. So Zach, who did you pick? Did you pick? I already know the answer to this, but tell the good people which team you picked.
So I'm on Team Fantasy. I could have very easily gone Team Sci-Fi, as I do play a couple of games that are located in space or have space elements, but the fantasy element just opens such a wide realm of possibilities. You have, all sorts of fantastic and mythical beasts. You have all sorts of, historic battles that can take place. And of course, you have some of the beautiful art that we're seeing here in the Plaza today to kind of explain my point a little bit here. So, again, I haven't really been favoring Marina that much. Most of the time, Pearl has had the better option, so I've had to go with Pearl. I thought this time around I'd give Marina a try and see if she could be on the winning team for once.
Yep, I am exactly the same as you. I've been on Team Pearl every other Splatfest, and she has rewarded me with now 18 extra sea snails, which I have yet to use. But I this time I too went with Team Fantasy, and it's as simple as two things: Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is fantasy, so I gotta rep my series, and Game of Thrones, my favorite TV series. So that is fantasy as well. And I tried to think of it, and outside of Star Wars, I'm not a huge sci-fi guy, unless you count Super Mario Galaxy as sci-fi, in which case I am very much a sci-fi guy. But I guess Mega Man is technically sci-fi as well, but I don't know, just fantasy resonated more with me.
We did see that fantastic artwork of Rosalina and Luma going by there. That would be one pretty good reason to go with Team Sci-Fi. The only sci-fi game I really can see myself playing is Destiny and Destiny 2, but otherwise, most of them are more so centered around the fantasy aspect of the genre here. Again, Pokemon more so sort of, I think, lends itself to fantasy than it does sci-fi, as there's all sorts of fantastic and crazy creatures in that world. Over 800, if I remember correctly. So that's been my main game ever since I was a wee little lad in elementary school playing on my Game Boy Color. So I have to kind of stick to my roots and go with Team Fantasy here. And again, I haven't really given the love and respect that Marina deserves. So I thought I'd give her a try. Hopefully she can be on the winning team this time. I can't honestly tell who actually is the more popular team this time around. It does not seem incredibly one-sided either way, so I think it really will come down to who is going to come away with those solo wins and those team wins in the Splatfest.
All right, so let's play a little game here. All right. So I want BTM, if he is indeed listening, to go and talk to Judd and see what advice Judd has. Then, when the game starts and we watch this top-level Splatoon, we'll see if Judd's advice comes to fruition.
I like it.
Let's do this. We got a little minute here, so why not? Let's see what the old cat has to say. Come on, Judd, give us something good. All right, get a sea snail. That's a good one.
That's already good. Okay, well that's the only advice you get. Okay,
the splashdown.
Of course.
The Oracle. The Oracle. Wow.
Knows that the splatter shot is currently the what a prediction there. He's been paying attention to these tournaments, man. What a fan.
What a fan in... Wow, all right. Yeah, well, I think Judd is certainly going to get it in this situation.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe pick, actually. Of all the things I would say as Judd to be as vague as possible, but also correct, I would definitely choose something like either the splashdown or potentially the stingray. The splatter shot is just so powerful right now, and even things like the splat roller too I've seen a good amount of play. So Judd, you've been doing your homework, you've been paying attention, major props to you, and BTM got a sea snail out of it.
You're welcome, BTM, for helping you earn that sea snail. So for those who don't know, BTM actually got that level up earlier today when we were testing and syncing up. He was playing Turf War, so technically the only reason that he got that sea snail was partially because of us, and now we even told him to go get the sea snail, so you're welcome, BTM. And also thank you, BTM, for doing all of this. Yeah, I know this time slot is not optimal for you either, so great job for BTM, one of the people that I looked up to when I first started commentating, tried to watch what he would do, and all the content that he puts in, the overlays made by him, the camera work done by him, the streaming done by him, an all-in-one package that just loves this community and does so much for it selflessly.
Yeah, BTM, I don't know how he does it, man. Working so tirelessly on Splat Stats, trying to create one of Splatoon's first ever ladder systems where they have, tournament results consistently gathered, trying to create as fair and balanced a system as possible, I'm sure, to try and just discern, I suppose, who is really coming out on top in these tournaments pretty much from all regions. So, congrats and thank you so much to BTM for being our spectator today, doing a fantastic job. I know with the technical difficulties and issues you had with your power, it can't be easy to continue pressing forward, but we're so thankful that you did. We are going to continue forward here with this tournament, and we are going to be watching a fantastic match here. I believe this is going to be our... Actually, I'm not sure which match this is. This should be either 2000 versus... what was their name? It was Zugudan Zubungun versus 2000?
Zugudan Zunbun. That's the team versus... And that's versus Ninja. Okay, so this is the one that was reported earlier that we did not get right, because there's Yotsuba at top and there's Mame as well. So, okay, this is going to be the one that we thought we had earlier that was not the same. So this will be the set actually happening here. Do not look at the bracket. This has not been officially reported. So what we can officially report as I look at the bracket is Splash has been eliminated. 2000, the win over Splash, and our #1 seed, the team that did such a good job the last time that we had a cast here in Platinum Cup and the Platinum Cup qualifier, eliminated. And that should just tell you the quality of teams that we have here, as we see two teams that could very easily take a lot of turns playing here in losers round 5.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding to see a team like Splash go down in losers round 5. There's still multiple rounds of losers left. I believe we're going to go all the way through up to losers round 9. So to see them only make it halfway through the losers bracket and already be taken out again by a very talented team, 2000 being seeded 3rd overall. So that was a very contentious and close battle, but Splash already out of it. 2000, I'm sure, very happy to have won that one. They'll now get a bit of a breather as this set plays out, and the winner of this one will take on the Splash Killer, aka 2000, in a very, very close and contentious set. We have not yet received a score on the Team Olive versus Shomona Games set. We will be giving that to you as quickly as we receive it, but Dark Horse, again, is going to be their opponent. And this bracket is really shaping itself out. I'm so excited to see how these teams allocate themselves and how they are able to take on their opponents, because it really is anyone's tournament from here on out.
Absolutely. And anytime you see two top teams, you're just so anxious to see, all right, what did they do? How did they win that? I thought for sure nobody could beat them. What did they do? What did it take? And more often than not, it's just been very solid, aggressive pressure that has forced the other team back and put them in a position where they don't even have the chance to mount a real, I guess, counter push, if you will. So we'll see if that continues to remain the case. We saw Rainmaker on Snapper Canal earlier, one of the more exciting games that we have seen this tournament, if not the most exciting game, with how close that came to going both ways after being the big lead early for Olive and then Ninja coming back. Ninja, very confident on this map. They have to be. So we'll see here what, I might need an abbreviation for this name. What,
It's gonna be a tough one. Zugadon
it is. Zugan Zunbun? I can remember.
Zugadon Zunbun. That's a pretty long-winded name, so we're going to do our best to remember that one. Zugadon Zunbun going to be taking on a very, very tough team. We already got to see a little bit of what Ninja can do here, and Ninja is going to be currently in the pink in this view. Zugadon going to be in the green. We'll see how that actually turns itself out once we get into the game here, but it will be Rainmaker on Snapper Canal. As mentioned, this is a very wide open map. There's a lot that you can pretty much see all the way across from spawn, so you really do have to know exactly where you're going and be able to prepare for basically any sort of weapon fire from short, mid, or long range, no matter where you go, because there's not really too many places you can hide on this map. There's only a couple of walls every so often that you can use, and even weapons like the Rapid Blaster can just peek around and tap shot you from there. So we are seeing a blaster from each side. We're seeing pretty similar comps to what we've been seeing consistently in this tournament. The only major difference is being the Rapid Blaster instead of the Range Blaster, and the Brella instead of the Sloshing Machine. So prioritizing things like Ink Storms over that Stingray.
And one other interesting thing here to note is that the splatter shot, we actually saw some objects shredder on that splatter shot. So I guess anticipating that NZAP will be putting out some ink armors and trying to be a bit preemptive. As we see here, this is Zugadon Zunbun making a big push already. We saw Urza do this earlier, but not going to be able to do, well, actually, okay, got a little assist there on the help, as Yotsuba, the name that we've been calling out so much today, comes in and gets the cleanup shot here. Both teams being a little bit, I guess, reserved here at the start. Both have kind of sent their front man out to put some pressure on the enemy spawn, as we see Yotsuba running up here. But what a great defense from both sides there. That was picked clean.
Yeah, the unseen NZAP from behind absolutely doing work, getting multiple kills there and helping to cause that full wipe onto Ninja there. So now Zugadon will have a chance to make a push of their own here, having to expend the splashdown to stay alive, but I think it's worth it trying to get anyone that's coming out from spawn, flanking behind the umbrella, and also trying to get the roller as well, but Yotsuba going to stay alive and pop the splashdown to do so. Faced with 3 opponents, though, that's going to be the lead going over to Zugadon as they get up to 44, and they will try to continue pushing it forward here. They've made it all the way up to that box, and the Sloshing Machine going to be popping it. They're facing heavy fire from the Rapid Blaster, though, so smart move by them to wait for a teammate to try and flank around and get some kills on their own. They're facing heavy resistance from that roller, though, and this has been a goal line defense here on the side of Ninja. They've stopped it from getting into a number that's dangerous, but it looks like that number may be shifting over here as they get into the 30s and now the 20s. It's going to be almost a knockout as they get all the way up to 1. Ninja just barely able to stop them, but now they require an entire knockout to take game 1.
And that whole sequence there on the left side, you can see why top teams almost unanimously say, take it left if you can, take it left if you can. That big push up the middle, we've seen a lot today. We hadn't seen a lot of the pushes come from that left side. But when the Rainmaker is over there, you have so many opportunities, not necessarily for the Rainmaker, but for your other people to move up there. As I say that once again, Yotsuba coming off that left side that we talked about as the Rainmaker goes up the middle. If Yotsuba is able to get 1 or 2 of these and gets 1, 2, wow!
No way!
Unreal! 100 to 0, going to 1. Yotsuba made the defense that stopped it at 1 and gave them the chance to make that push, then came around that left side like we were talking about, got the kills that were necessary, and what a great response. Okay, I am never playing against Ninja on Snapper Canal Rainmaker in my life.
Zugadon getting all the way up to 1. Ninja saying, hold my cream soda, I can do you one better. Not even taking a minute and a half to get all the way to a knockout state. turning that around so quickly on Zugadon. A beautiful job done there, and a never say die attitude that you have to have as a team when you lose the lead like that, especially to that extreme. So I'm sure Zugadon not expecting them to come all the way back. A beautiful job there is done, as we now have to move on to game number 2. It's going to be Port Mackerel tower control, and we'll have to see how these teams change up their weapon comps. We saw a little bit of similarities going forward here. Again, both teams really liking the end zap, that Ink Armor doing so well. I'm sure we're going to see at least one Stingray per team here as well. Again, with the Stingray, you really have to get in front of it head on and attack whoever is using it so that they can't be nearly as effective. And I'm sure we'll be continuing to see that roller of Yotsuba, as this map caters very well to those curling bombs that allow them to get through the map so consistently.
Absolutely, and this is one that it's more so okay than it is in flat zones to sit back and build up your Stingray, because you know where the tower's. You know you can stop it with one Stingray, and of course Stingray very strong on this long and narrow map to begin with. It wouldn't surprise me if we would see 2 Tri-Sloshers on one, or even, forgot the meta we were in, 2 slosh machines on one or both of the teams. We do see both teams, and there it is. One team did bring out 2 Tri-Sloshers, and that is Zugadon doing just that.
Yeah, 2 sloshing machines coming out. We did see this backfire, though, earlier on in the tournament. The enemy team that only brought 1 with them was just able to play a lot more aggressively. Again, when they're running 2 sloshing machines like that, they have to play a little bit further back than they would like in order to use those effectively. We're seeing one already come out. The double Stingray is going to be popped at the same time, so they're both going to be used to keep anyone that's coming from the tower. They're not going to have that if a tower push does happen on the side of Ninja, so they have to be very careful about that. They expended those Stingrays way too early, and they're going to go 2 down, so they're not going to have that for this first push that's being made here by Ninja. So great job by Ninja, hanging on through those 2 special usages, and they're going to get the first points on the board.
Now they don't have the Stingrays, but they do have a range blaster. Such an interesting composition, because this is not coming out from Zugadon here. The only real traditional painting weapon that is there is going to be the splatter shot. So they are really relying on their ability to make stops and use the Stingray and the range blaster to get big kills. So we'll see if that does come back. It started early, and they've been able to make a comeback, but Yotsuba again coming in and flanking from behind. Although it only gets 2, the tower is still in sort of a precarious position here, though with that one going down right there, I think this one might be the end of this push.
So we see 2 specials are already active here for Ninja. They have the splashdown, and they just used the Ink Storm. That's going to provide them some of the map control that they've fallen a little bit behind in, as Zugadon continues to push forward here. Not going to be able to take down the umbrella, as that shield was popped at exactly the right time. And now Ninja, with 2 splashdowns of their own waiting to be used here. We see Mane just holding on to the tower here as they gain the lead. 75, of course, not a safe number, but it's better than nothing as they get 1 pick over by the tower, and this tower push should continue if the roller can hop on. Yotsuba going to fill that role, as an Ink Storm is just going to cover that tower. If you stay on the tower during that, you're going to take a lot of damage. It can really surprise you with how much damage the Ink Storm does over a very short period of time. So having to contend with the Stingray now that they make it all the way up to that checkpoint, but they're going to have to hop off the tower to dodge those Stingray's blasts, and they will continue to push the tower. As long as somebody's near the tower, they can continuously jump in and keep this push going, but they're facing heavy resistance from Zugadon right now.
Fancy footwork there, stalling it just enough, and that might actually be if you give the rest of Ninja time to get back to the middle here and hold territory, making what was a 3-down situation not look nearly as bad from a map control standpoint. It's also going to allow them to get Yotsuba the roller back in middle with a little bit of room to move, because as we've talked about earlier, the roller is great, but it does need a little help, and it got all the help you need right there, and a big hug coming in from Yotsuba. Why not another?
Just laying on these 1-hit kills so thick here. Again, these short hallways lend itself so well, especially that now in Splatoon 2 the rollers have the option of that longer vertical flick with a very narrow path about it. That's one of the things that can really destroy the team comp that has been brought in here by Zugadon. This double sloshing machine, double Stingray comp, is if the roller can get right on top of them it has a much slower time to kill than the roller does. So if it can get right in their faces, it can be so difficult for the sloshing machines to deal with it. But we're seeing a 2-down situation coming out on the side of Zugadon. They do have a Stingray active to keep people away from the tower for just a second. The splashdown has to be expended here in order for that splatter shot to stay alive, but it's worth it as they now have all their reinforcements at the ready. Just over a minute left here as we continue to push forward here, and it seems to be that Ninja is trying to keep this one in their favor. They're going to need a better push than 60, I believe, to make this one a for sure win, but they're doing everything right so far.
Absolutely, this is a great push. You already see that Rain Cloud coming out, but the Rain Blaster putting that one to bed. The only weapon that could have done it in that situation. Got the direct there on the splatter shot, and also got a couple hits on the other. And right now, Yotsuba trying to push it a little further, gets a couple more points, some added insurance, but the Super Jumper not going to have a fun landing, even though it is Umbrella. Still not a safe landing there. You see the Stingray come out, using it. There should be enough time for Mame to get another one, provided that Mame does not die too much. Be able to put a little bit of pressure up here. You know that they're going to be sitting on that Stingray as long as possible because it will single-handedly shut down a push. But you see Mame go down there to the splatter shot. Another one goes down here. They've got to be careful not to let this one get out of hand.
Oh, what a beautiful mid-air shot. Popping that shield at the right time and then relinquishing it to get another shot off there. That's a beautiful play in that 1v1, and that is how strong the Umbrella is right now. It can shoot squids out of the sky as we see the Stingray getting popped here in the last 5 seconds of the game. It's going to be Zugadon attempting to get on the tower here. They need to get to 46, but nobody's even close to the tower. Yotsuba with a final flick onto the tower is going to seal the deal, and Ninja will be coming away the winner of this set 2-0 with a pretty nice performance on Port Mackerel. They will be moving on in the losers bracket to take on 2000.
These tower control games have not been big victories. Teams nowadays are just too good to let these towers get too far. We talked about it on the Olive set, and we're talking about it here once again. Just pressure, getting the lead, and then focusing on keeping people away from the tower and having a special that can stop the tower if someone does get on it. I mean, hey, what's the easiest way to stop a tower push? Never let them get on the tower to begin with. And we saw just that right there. Yotsuba coming up big, but every member of Ninja playing that big pressure game that we have talked about as they do move along. Take a look at the bracket here and see if we have everything. So we do have the results. The West's last hero has finally breathed its last. Shimona Games takes it 2-1 over Team Olive. So we can now officially report that the last teams that are in will be all Japanese. We have Ninja versus 2000, Dark Horse versus Shimona Games in the losers bracket. On the winner's side, it looks like we're still waiting on a game there. Trying to double check here. And I don't think that that's been reported. Let's take a look here. See if I can find from some people behind. Zach, what were your thoughts on that set?
It's pretty important just to note that both of these teams are so talented at what they do. I mean, we saw a lot of back and forth between these two teams. You harken back to game number 1 where we saw Zugadon just storm out to an explosive lead, getting all the way up to 1. It looked like they would have this set under wraps very, very quickly. And then within just about a minute to a minute and a half, Ninja came back and said, I'll just take this back, thank you. They get the lead by knocking out their opponent. They needed a knockout, and it just kind of shows the resilience that these top teams have to have in order to be as good as they are. So Ninja, overall, a fantastic performance there. They knew exactly what team comp to bring into Port Mackerel. The Stingrays were so crucial, and they knew to get on the enemy sloshing machines immediately so that they couldn't build up their own Stingrays. I think that Zugadon could have waited a little bit to use their Stingrays more so on the tower, especially in the early portions of the game. They just popped their Stingrays as soon as they had them, didn't really get any major picks from them, and that gave Ninja the first opportunity to push that tower. So a couple of small missteps here and there are really what it comes down to at this stage of the game, especially for a best of 3. So with Team Olive out, I believe they're going to be tying for 9th overall in this tournament, as I think we have 8 teams or so left to get rid of, or 7 to get rid of and 1 to crown as a champion. We now have some incredible talent still remaining, all from Japan. Dark Horse going to be taking on Shimona Games, and 2000 going to be taking on Ninja, who we just saw win there. Still waiting on the victor of our other winner's semifinal match. Again, Story Overnight is going to be waiting for the winner of that set as we are going to likely be either shifting over there or taking a look at one of our losers games here. But with the high caliber of teams in this tournament, it's really been astounding to watch and thrilling to see how each game develops, because any push is not safe until they've either knocked out or time is expired.
Absolutely. And it's just so crazy how different Tower Control and Rainmaker have been in this tournament. We talked about how Tower Control scoring. It's been a slow, gradual process. Teams focusing more on controlling the territory that should belong to their enemies rather than continually pushing the tower. But Rainmaker has just gone back and back and back, getting single digits knockouts all the time, and all the teams doing it. So, hey, I'm perfectly all right with that. One mode, very slow, methodical. The other one, as fast can be. But we will be coming in here. We do have the report now. We'll be doing Ninja versus 2000. We will be staying with Ninja here, which is A-okay with me, given the performance they've put on.
And I'm super thrilled to be seeing 2000. That team, of course, taking out Splash, one of the few teams that can say they've done that in tournaments that we've watched. And even before that, they had a pretty fantastic run going through the winner's bracket, starting out with a win 3-0 over Happy Feeding Squid, and then defeating UF 3-0 as well, before losing to Myotonia, who is going to be the team that is on the other side of the loser's bracket. They are currently awaiting the winner of Dark Horse and Shomona Games, but I'm super excited to see the strategies that 2000 was able to employ in order to defeat such a talented and memorable team such as Splash. So it's going to be very back and forth. It's going to be very heated and aggressive, as it still is just a best of 3. Taking a look at the map list here, going on to losers round 6, it appears as though we're going to be starting with Tower Control on Manta Maria. That should be a very fun map mode combination to watch. Then after that, we are going to have Splat Zones on Inkblot Art Academy, and if necessary, one of the most fun map mode combinations in the game, in my opinion, Rainmaker on Kelp Dome. So here's hoping we go to that game 3.
Here's hoping, and I like you said earlier, and like we've talked about so much, we haven't seen 2000. We've seen their results, but we haven't seen them play. And anytime you get to see a team make it this far that you haven't gotten to see play yet, it's always a treat. So I'm very excited. I'll take this opportunity again to thank everyone who is joining us here for Inkergalactic Cup 2, hosted by IkaSportsTV. I know wherever you are in the world, it's probably an awkward time slot for you. Maybe you're in the middle of your day, maybe you're late at night, maybe you're early in the morning like the rest of us. Thank you again for joining. It's tournaments like these, and it's viewers like you who make these tournaments such a big deal, who make it to where we can continue to grow, where we have more footage, all of these different things. So thank you again for joining here, and this should be a great finish for us here. Every game, every set that we have seen has been a lot of fun, and I expect no different from this one.
I echo that same sentiment, and even if you are not able to watch this one all the way through, or if you know people who were not able to be here, go tell them to come back, watch the VOD, see how they can improve their own gameplay, see what's working for these Japanese teams that were able to clear out the other teams from every other region in the world and make it into the top 8 that we now sit in. So we will be moving on here. Tower Control on Manta Maria. This is going to be a map that still makes Stingrays very much excel, so I would definitely expect to see that sloshing machine make a return. I'll be interested to see if the NZAP comes back for either of these teams. That, of course, is a very potent way to get the ink armor off, and it can be a great strafing, quick weapon for you to get some quick kills on. The splatter shot is basically a mainstay at this point, so I would expect to see that at least one per team with the splashdown. That's going to provide them some means of defending the tower or just staying alive when they overextend. And then I think finally, blasters have also been very popular in this tournament. We've seen everything from a Luna Blaster to both variants of the Rapid Blaster and the Range Blaster as well. So for Tower Control, probably either the Rapid or the Range, although the Luna could still work very, very well. It all comes down to what these teams are good with and what's allowed them to get up to this point.
Moving along right now, I would expect to see it flashing blaster. Expect to continue to see him. So we actually have the Rapid Blaster on one side, and we have both a Rapid Blaster. I believe that's the Rapid Blaster Pro, actually. It is, and also a sloshing machine. So I would say that Team 2000 here actually will have the advantage in terms of range and killing power, because they also have a Range Blaster as well, so I would not want to be on that tower.
Yeah, both teams also favoring that Splat Brella. That's going to provide them with that really quick Ink Storm. We were seeing one come out in the first 15 to 20 seconds of the game, as it's going to be already a quick kill coming out on the side of Ninja here as they get this tower push going. The Rapid Blaster is a great person to have set up on the tower. That's going to allow the other members of Ninja to continue pushing forward and get those quick kills so that the Rapid Blaster basically can stay on the tower and go unopposed. But they are going to go down to the Brella. Beautiful shot there as they were contending with a Splat Bomb Launcher, but the Brella for 2000 going to be shutting that push down as quickly as it started. 60, not too bad for the first minute of the game, but it's also not nearly a safe push. So lots of work still to do for both teams.
Absolutely, Yotsuba going ahead and closing that one down. Big four. And I'm not just saying that because Yotsuba's been the name we've been saying a lot. Yotsuba is one of the few weapons here that is going to be able to kind of contend with the one-hit KO potential that so many of the weapons you see have, or at the very least the Range Blaster has here for Team 2000. Some great movement here by the captain. Man, no wonder I've been making so many puns. There are just so many times today. But again, 52, not a big push. We've talked about this, how even on a map like this where you can see big pushes commonly, just not some big pushes. You're seeing this offensive pressure that's coming in once again, going to get shut down by the Brella. And this whole cycle just seems to be rinsing and repeating over and over.
Yeah, that's the thing about the way this tower moves on Manta Maria. It basically goes around an enclosed hallway where there's a lot of high ground for the enemy team to stand on and essentially just rain fire down onto the tower. That's what we saw out of the Brella coming out from Team 2000. They were able to stop that push at 52 before the halfway mark. Nice kill there as well. The splashdown going to both keep them alive and give them a kill. They might have actually been killed by the bump of the Umbrella Shield. I know that does 30 damage, which is a pretty decent amount. That's going to be a 2-down situation as well for Ninja as that push gets stopped at 75 for the moment, but they are still continuing on, have to make it through that second checkpoint, and they are putting most, if not all of their resources into this one, not currently with any specials at the radius. They just used that Inkstorm. They're going to be awaiting to see if another one comes up. The double Inkstorm comp, it can be very, very deadly, and with a pretty big map like this one, it's nice to have that passive map control coming out.
I know Yotsuba's getting the kills right now, but Kimechi side actually did just enough to get 2 people away from the tower, and that was long enough for Yotsuba to come back in kills that were necessary to stop that push. Oh, what a great shot there. Jumping, and you know if that shot missed, that Yotsuba's was not going to miss. So a very clutch kill there. Enough, but it does look like the rest of Team Ninja is coming in here to put the pressure on. This push is going to get back near where the other one was. Kimejirushi going to get back on the tower and keep this one moving. Nobody there at the moment, but it's going to be enough to expand their lead ever so slightly. Yotsuba going to have to retreat. Nobody on the tower, but they do finally get past the checkpoint. A great job moving there and putting the pressure back on the other team.
Yeah, big push all the way to 40 there. A straggler is going to get taken out by Team 2000. That's going to give them a bit of room. They do have a decent amount of map control in mid, but they are just being hailed upon from that blaster who's sitting on top of those grates. And that's one of the best things about it, is that you can just tap shot people from above, and they don't really know where it's coming from until it's too late. So with the accuracy that these teams have, it can be so difficult to contend a matchup that you don't get the early advantage on, or at least y'all both don't start shooting at the same time. So with 2000 finally building up a couple of specials and getting the map control in mid, they are moving the tower forward here. They are looking to get up to that 39 mark. They have the Toxic Mist being consistently put on by that Rapid Blaster Pro. That's going to give them a lot of damage on, or a lot of stoppage on the tower in terms of speed decreases. That's just something that they really need to focus on, because Ninja is right now able to just freely move around, especially Yotsuba here on this roller is able to just get around so quickly and get these quick one-shot kills that are so deadly to try and deal with. The Umbrella will be able to deal with them pretty effectively, but time is running out on 2000 and they need to act quickly.
They do, and this comp that they're running here is all about the kills. It's going to play great defense, but when they're making the pushes, they need to find ways to get kills. So far, both Yotsuba and Kimejirushi have found ways to get around and get the kills against this slaying comp. That's what this comp is. And finally, we're going to see a couple down. It's going to come down to this last bit, but keep an eye on where Ninja places themselves. You see Kimejirushi already came from behind. I think just got 3 of them single-handedly. And that's the story of the game. They kept finding ways to get around the tower, move people away from the tower, and outslay that slaying comp.
And it's pretty unbelievable based on the results that we've seen coming out of 2000 that they were not able to put up a bit of a better fight here. They did a pretty good job of getting one or two relatively strong tower pushes. They even had the KAs to make it seem like they were putting up a very, very good fight. But Ninja just consistently kept that tower on 2000's side of the map. Yotsuba consistently putting on pressure with that roller, and of course they had the blaster too that was just keeping 2000 from getting anywhere significant with that tower. That's the difficulty of riding through that hallway on Manta Maria, is that blasters can stay very far away from you on high ground and just keep raining shots down because nobody can get on the tower without taking damage, and I don't believe they had an ink armor at the ready for them. So as we move on now to Splatzone's Inkblot Art Academy, it's going to be a very different animal. This is a much more rectangular map as opposed to one that's very linear. There's that large open area that you really need to control in mid in order to stop anyone from the enemy team coming down from their plat freely. And whichever team can do that should have a lock on the zone. Neither of these teams really is favoring long-range weapons, so most of the fighting, I believe, is going to take place where the zone is or around it.
This is one where if you have a Rapid Blaster, you might want to use it. I think the Rapid Blaster might be the best weapon on this map and mode, as we already see Mame not switching off of it. And we're going to see now an NZAP coming out here from 2000, and I agree with that. That slaying comp, of course, makes sense in tower control, but they just could not find a way to keep this quick, slippery comp that Ninja's been running all day out. So I like this pick, and I'm interested to see what they do with it.
Of course, the Range Blaster's main objective here early on is to try and build up that Inkstorm. One has already come out here on the side of Ninja, which is going to give them the zone, but it's already being taken back here. They're just trading Inkstorms back and forth, and that's a 3 down now. Full wipe on to Ninja, forced by 2000, so that's a huge establishing presence there made by 2000. They're going to be able to push up all the way into their platform if they want to, but more importantly, they can hold down mid from here. You can see they're all grouping up on that top art installment there, and now allocating themselves 2 to the left and 2 to the right. That essentially just covers all of the potential points that Ninja has in jumping down into the zone area. They're going to have to expend multiple specials at the same time to try and steal control away from 2000. Beautiful kill there as well by the sloshing machine to help them retain control, and multiple specials is not enough. This one can snowball so quickly when full wipes happen, and we may never see Ninja get back down from their plat successfully ever again.
And it is so, it takes, like you said, it takes specials, and it takes multiple specials to take this back. They continue to get picked off here. The rain cloud is over the zone, but it looks like it's already going back the other way. If you get wiped early on here, it is very difficult to take it back. Yotsuba going to try to make a desperation play happen. Does stop the zone for now at least, but that's not going to make a difference. They take it right back. And it is, that shows you right there. I was going to say and talk a little bit about how easy it is to defend here, how you can call it exactly where they're coming from, and at that point it's just execution, getting your kills, hitting your shots. But the game spoke for itself. There you go. 1 kill. 1 kill for Team Ninja.
That's astounding, especially considering that first game and how well they dictated the pace of play. 1 full wipe on that map and mode combination, and it is just disaster. No recovery for Ninja. They had no opportunities to come back, and that was one of the quickest turnarounds I've seen in a set in this tournament. So we now get my wish of moving on to Rainmaker Kelp Dome, a fantastic map mode combination that should be very fun with these two teams taking each other on. I think both of these teams are very creative with their play. They're not afraid to get right in the faces of their enemy, especially in the hands of those shorter range weapons like the NZAP, like the Splat Roller. So both of these teams will be fighting for their lives here in game number 3. Loser is out of the tournament. The winner will move on to losers round 7. And it's going to be a tough road for them, but they still want the opportunity. So I'm not exactly sure how much their weapon comps are going to change. They seem relatively confident with what they're bringing in. A blaster is still going to be very, very good here, as that Rainmaker does start raised up on that pedestal. So you want to make sure nobody can touch that Rainmaker unless it's your team. And we'll have to see if they decide to get cheeky and walk it across the catwalk, or if they'll go the more traditional route and try and take it through the choke point.
Well, with the amount of pivots that we've seen here and how well both teams are able to adapt, put resources, and then feint, take the Rainmaker the other way, I think both of them are equally valid options here. The question will be, 2000 just got a big, as dominating a win as you can get, almost 1 kill short of it, but a very dominating win here. So I hope that Ninja doesn't let this get to them. I hope that they're able to move things along. This is Rainmaker. So if there's one map, well, one mode rather, that Ninja has shown their prowess on, it has been Rainmaker, with Yotsuba leading the charge. So we'll see if that does continue to be the theme here as we move into this pivotal Game 3. Loser goes home.
This is the map and mode combination that we saw at Squidstorm that went from a push to 9 to an opposite push to 7 to the first push to 5. And we've also seen in this tournament today a push of the Rainmaker all the way up to 1, followed by a return knockout by the opposing team. So really, for this mode, anything can happen as we see the Chicken of Death get a major kill there. That's going to be a 2-down situation on the side of Ninja, so they'll have to play a little bit back, especially because the Inkstorm is driving them back. Battle of the Rapids here, and they're going to lose it. That's one they really did not want to win, and we're going to see 2000 take that momentum from Game 2 and continue to push forward with it. They're going over to this right-hand side choke point, but they want to be very careful before actually pushing into the choke point. They get multiple kills there, and another Inkstorm's coming out. The curling bomb is the only thing stopping them. The pedestal is painted. Can they make it around this bend? There's 2 members basically sticking around the pedestal for Ninja here, and then Rainmaker is the last one alive, so they'll go down at 23, but a beautiful opening push there for 2000. That's exactly how they wanted to start this game.
And right now you're starting to see why 2000 runs 2 blasters. Look at how many kills they were able to get in that situation. The pressure came up. We talk a lot about ink control. Hey, you can't paint if you are dead. That first game did not go their way in that regard. This game, much more so. A big opening lead. They take another 2 down. The last 2 are over here in this corner. One of them is the Rainmaker. The Rainmaker pretty much isolated by itself against the Brella, but sneaks behind the Brella there. The Rainmaker is going to go down here to the range blaster, however, and you're really starting to see the wisdom of this double blaster comp. All this splash damage.
That's about the best situation you could have hoped for if you're Ninja there. Getting the shot of the Rainmaker that had that delayed detonation behind the umbrella. So the umbrella was locked into that shield. There was no way for them to even see the Rainmaker shot and react to it. So beautiful job there. It's not going to be nearly the push that they wanted, but we're seeing some of the ingredients that Ninja is going to need in order to make a recovery here, which they still have plenty of time to do. However, in the meantime, 2000 holding onto the Rainmaker once more. Less than 30 seconds left for them to try and push it forward. They really just need to kill time at this point to try and give Ninja less time to make a push of their own, because it's going to take a pretty significant one for them to come forward, and they have no way of getting into that spawn unless they go all the way around through the choke point or through the grating. So I think they're just going to let the Rainmaker either explode or wait until about the 10-second mark and then push as far as they can before the Rainmaker explodes. So with it being locked on the ramp there, they have the shield. It should be another push likely coming out from 2000.
And they are not going to pop it. They are going to leave it right there as hard as it can. And they popping. You see Mame getting very close to getting that pop. Popping it would actually be the best thing that Mame could do at this point, because then eventually it will reset, or one of them will be forced to grab it and move it. They're still fighting over in mid, but this is such a difficult position for that Rainmaker to be in. How are you supposed to get over there?
It's a devilish strategy. It's one we actually don't see all that often from Western teams, but it works incredibly well. A lot of teams are just trying to get the knockout, just trying to force the Rainmaker down the enemy's either choke point or to the pedestal as quickly as they can. And 2000 has kind of turned that strategy on its head and said, nope, we're just going to, tap the shield every once in a while so it doesn't reset, and you're going to have to come to us. You're going to have to come around our spawn, and you've got a minute and a half. Good luck. And that's probably the best situation you could hope for if you're 2000. This is exactly what you want. You can just play a game of deathmatch here, take down any members of Ninja that you see, and make them come to you. And by the time they get some kills, the Rainmaker's over by your spawn, so you're going to be coming back. You won't have a very far distance to go. Finally, the Rainmaker will reset. A minute and 15 seconds is what Ninja's going to have. They have 3 ults at the ready, 3 specials. One of them's going to be used. That member, the splatter shot, will go down immediately, but they now have a chance to reclaim this lead.
They do. It's going to be a very treacherous path for them to go to because of I was about to say the Stingray, but the beat Stingray. And the 2 blasters as well. That is such a difficult path that you have to go through. It's not all about weapon composition, but it's certainly not any easier. And the Brella still as well. You have to get through a weapon that is a literal wall. Going to sit right here. Going to try to pressure as much, but the other Brella going to be coming in. I don't know if the chicken ended up getting him there in that situation, but with 3 of them now, they don't have any specials yet, and 2 of them are going to go down as a result. You see them waiting around there. Yotsuba has to be very careful. Anytime that one of them dies at this point might spell the end of the game. Yotsuba's going to go for the big gambit here. This is a huge flank, and gets called out immediately. That splashdown of no use. Yotsuba's going to have to jump back in, and now we're going to see this. Whoa! What? No, nobody. Finally.
Wow.
What a great engagement here, and this sloshing machine is going to end this. Was that a quad?
My gosh. At least a triple, if not the quad. Not only that, but before that even got started, the incredible foresight of the sloshing machine to hang out over by that right-hand side grate and say, flank, I don't think so. We're going to have to show you the door, my friend. So a beautiful kill to start that one off. They jump down into mid, get another kill, go around to the choke point, get a third. A 19 KA performance from the sloshing machine on the side of 2000. They lose the first game and come roaring back with an emphatic performance in games 2 and 3. And they are going to be moving on to losers round 7. They will take on a very tough team in Kitaino team. So I'm looking forward to seeing who emerges from that set. But so far, nice resilience by 2000 to keep their tournament hopes alive.
Absolutely, a great showing there, and we are moving on into the later stages of this bracket now. Kitaino team, it's going to be a very difficult match for them here, but we'll see if they're able to keep it running here. Dark Horse did get the win over Shimona Games 2-0, so Dark Horse continues their run. Remember, Dark Horse has only lost to one team in this tournament, and it was Kitaino team who just lost right now. Although it's worth noting, Shimona Games had only lost one, and that was to Kyoteto Chimu, and so they are out now as well. So you're seeing only the best. The only teams that are left right now are the teams that lost to the teams that are in winner's side.
Yeah, it is pretty astounding here, the caliber of the teams that we have seen in this tournament. It is so fun to check out everything that they've been doing here. We are going to be moving on. It's going to be Splat Zones on Muscle Forge Fitness, which is what we're going to be seeing next. This is going to be our winners finals match, which we have been long awaiting here. Again, Kitaino team not able to make it out. They fall 3-2 to the Kyudo Tetsuchinu. And Kyudo Tetsuchinu is going to be a tough opponent to go up against. If there's any team to take on Story Overnight, I think they're one of the most fitting ones. They were able to take on Shomona Games and defeat them 3-1, able to take out Kitaino team, who, if you remember, was the team that originally beat Splash 3-0 all the way back in winners round 3. So a beautiful job by them to make it this far. Kyudo Tetsuchinu is going to be a tough opponent for them. And by the same token, we have to take a look at Story Overnight's run. In the winners semifinals, they were able to come away with an upset sweep over Myotonia, who is still alive in the losers bracket. They are currently taking on Dark Horse in losers round 7. But before that, Story Overnight defeating Ninja, who we just saw fall in the tournament. They were able to defeat them 3-2, and they were also able to defeat teams like Neptune as well. So here we go. It's going to be the winners finals, back to a best of 5 format. Let's see who comes out on top. So in terms of weapon compositions here, it looks as though we are going to have a lot of the same stuff we've been seeing. Some of the weapons we have not seen, though, are this regular Dynamo Roller and the Tri-Slosher. So the Tri-Slosher is a weapon I'm a big fan of. It was a huge weapon in the meta at the very onset of Splatoon 1, along with things like the Ten Attack, but it has since lost a little bit of favor, most teams opting instead for the NZAP. The NZAP building up that ink armor a little bit more consistently, I believe, but the Tri-Slosher can still be so good. In fact, they're going to pop the ink armor right there. Meltik is trying to advance forward, not able to get the kill, though. That's 2 down, basically for both teams. And it looks like they're going to try and push forward here. Nobody really getting too much ground. They're just trading this zone back and forth.
Absolutely. And I love the pick of the Brella here. I know we've talked about that a lot, but especially here, it is so difficult to get up that side volcano area if you have a Brella over there, because they can block any of the shots, which you need. You need ink to get up there. You can't just move around otherwise. Makes it very difficult. And of course, talked at length about the Ink Storm and what it can do. And I love the fact that we're seeing the Tri-Slosher. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier there, but I feel like we've seen more ink armor today than we have seen in some time.
It feels like it. I mean, the NZAP in the last few tournaments we've watched has been pretty prevalent, but I didn't realize it would be a pick on pretty much every team to have an ink armor. I thought the lure of things like the Stingray and the Splashdown would be even more strong, but right now we're seeing Kyoani Tetsuchinu doing a very good job. It looks like they might close out Game 1 with a victory, and that's what they do here. A very, very fast Game 1 on Muscle Forge Fitness, and Kyoani Tetsuchinu coming away with a Game 1 win. They're going to put Story Overnight a bit on edge here. They're not used to losing very many games here in this tournament, and they have a bit of recovery to do here as that Tri-Slosher we were talking about making me proud, getting an 8KA and leading the charge here.
I actually do believe that was Story Over that got that
my
right
bad.
there.
I was looking at the layout here.
That's all right. No, I understand completely, but Chinu has Chinu at the end of all names there, as you can see there. So that's one easy way to remember. But yeah, the Tri-Slosher coming up big. It's still a fine weapon. You know, it always surprised me just how quickly the Tri-Slosher got dropped. And I understand that the sloshing machine is a very, very strong weapon, and if you're going to use a bucket, why not use the strongest bucket? But the Tri-Slosher is still a very, very strong pick and a very good situational sub-in. So, very good to see it there, like you said, making you proud. And I think we're going to see, as I don't know if that was a short disconnect there, if it was a sub. I know there wasn't anything during the game itself, but it looks like Chinu is going to do just a bit here, maybe take a second. Like you said, a very quick game, and you said Story Overnight is not used to losing games. That was pretty obvious there, I would say.
Yeah, Story Overnight, I think a little bit overwhelmed here as we see Rainmaker on Port Mackerel come up next. Again, this can be such a fast map mode combination. You really do have to worry about those pushes making it into your two hallways near the spawn, because once it gets there, it can be very, very difficult for the opposing team to make it to that same location. Usually we only see one team make it that far. You really have to have a ton of map control and a ton of map presence going forward in order to make it into that 40s, 30s, and 20s mark here. So we'll have to see if any team can do that. I think both teams are going to allocate themselves with at least one Stingray. We see one there in the form of the sloshing machine, and the double Stingray comp coming out once again from Story Overnight this time. And Kyoani Tetsuchinu is going to rely once again on that Splattershot Junior. Two of them running Object Shredder as well, so they're just going to be blazing through this Rainmaker shield and trying to build up that ink armor as well in the case of the Splattershot Junior.
And here we see, once again, Roller, this has been a... Like you said, the Splattershot Junior going as much as possible. And that was a huge kill. That kill had to have a full wipe, but the Rainmaker, if it had gotten past that, those points start to fly off the board here. So a nice shot there from Kyoani Tetsuchinu there to try to get something going there at the start, and did indeed get something. You see the Roller coming around again, just barely missing another shot on one of the sloshing machines. And I don't know if you looked very closely there at the very beginning of the game. One of those sloshing machines is wearing double mains of special power up. So that's not just any old Stingray. That is a super Stingray. And it's really interesting to see how they've done that. We saw that earlier with Team Olive, one of the sloshing machines being focused on special power, or on special saver up and special charge up. And it seems to be the way that teams are running it, is one sloshing machine goes for kills, one sloshing machine goes for specials. It's really interesting here, and just shows the versatility of the sloshing machine.
Beautiful play there by Story Overnight to get the exact point number that they needed in order to gain the lead. A lot of foresight there shown by Melticus as they were able to get over that sponge and make it there. They actually get even more points. They're getting all the way into the 30s by crawling into that hallway with the Rainmaker, and now the Stingray is going to come out. A lot of the members of Kyoani Tetsuchinu are locked in their spawn. At least the Stingray can put the Rainmaker shield to rest here, as the Rainmaker now sits at the 31 mark. So slow gains being made over and over again by Story Overnight, but they're doing their job, keeping the Rainmaker in the Kyoani Tetsuchinu spawn, and it's going to be a tough journey for them going forward, as now they finally get a little bit of map control back. I think most of the members of Story Overnight going back to their spawn, having to build up their specials all over again, and again, with this double Stingray comp, Story Overnight really has to rely on having a bunch of map control, so we may see the tide shift pretty dramatically in favor of Kyoani Tetsuchinu.
And one thing that I have to point out there, the Roller for Kyoani Tetsuchinu there just went in too early, I would say, in that situation. They were getting back map control. They had to check up as a team, but rushed in probably a little bit haphazardly and got just pincered by two different people who were coming out of the respawn, probably wondering what somebody was doing there. And because of that, that was their big front line, their big killer there that got taken out, as we see that same killer get the kill right there. But that was a good looking push, and Giovanni Tettuccino does have, they have the power to take map back very, very quickly. Their comp very much tooled for taking back map. So that's something that can certainly be done, but they have to stay alive to do so. And with a double tri-slosher comp, you know that you're going to be outslayed if you don't have map control. So they got to be just a little bit more careful as we see another push here. Unlike last games where we saw big pushes go for big pushes the entire time, big numbers, it looks like now it's just that slow sequential push that you were talking about, killing time, forcing them back, and it's really good on a map like this too, I must say.
The Stingrays just consistently repeating over and over again. It's like they almost never leave the map here. I thought they were actually going to crush that Brella. I thought they were going to keep rolling on the ground. I was hoping they would, but unfortunately they lifted their shot, and it's going to be their downfall. Nice direct there with the sloshing machine. That's going to help them get a kill on that member of Giovanni Tettuccino. They are able to dodge out of the way that Rainmaker shot and get the kill on them, building up the Stingray in the process. And that really is the main MO of the sloshing machine, is to get a kill or two, back off when you have that Stingray built up, defend the objective with your special, and really, when you bring two of those into the mix, if they're both doing their job, there's not much they can do about it. So Story Overbook there, really making good use of the comp that they've brought with them, even extending their lead further now to 22, as Giovanni Tettuccino is having to back off and try and somehow deal with this ink storm that's been brought up. Another game of the Rainmaker, not going to get any points on it, but again, you're just killing time, distracting them, not letting the Rainmaker reset either. There's not really a place to jump off on this map. There's no water, there's no endless void to go into, so you're basically locked into this map here, and you have to make it all the way from your side of spawn all the way over to your opponent's two hallways in a very, very short amount of time.
You're seeing the map go back pretty quickly. They've done a good job here of taking map, but now this is what it's all about right here. With all three of them bunched there at the top of your screen, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get any of them. If they're able to get two or three, they could make a push here, but they do get one here. They almost get two. The Brella's right near the Rainmaker. They've got to do something about the Brella. Does go down. One jumps in. The Stingray coming in. They may have boxed themselves in too much, and they did. The Stingray going to get the kills necessary to end it right there. That is the threat of the double sloshing machine comp, and that's why they needed to get those kills as quickly as they did, or should have rather. That's why it needed to happen, because the longer you let one live, the closer it's going to be to Stingray. And when you have to take it down a long, narrow pathway like that, you just know if one comes out, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
And the KAs for both teams were really pretty evenly split there. We didn't see anybody go, I think, less than 8 or more than 12. So it wasn't really an aggressive game between these two teams. We didn't see anything ludicrous in terms of how much they got kills. But we did see Asriel, I believe it was, get 6 ink storms off with that Splat Brella. That's just going to provide so much map control that it can be tough for a team like Giovanni Tettuccino that brought in weapons that were possibly not equipped well enough to deal with the comp that was brought in by Story Overnight. So as we move on now to game number 3, Tower Control on Sturgeon Shipyard, I think many of the same weapons are going to be brought in. Sloshing Machine can still be very, very good on this map and mode combination. Blasters are also going to be placed emphasis on. And then the Splat Brella, because for the Ink Storm, placing it over near the tower can be such a crucial way to get the enemy to back off. And that's really what the name of the game is in this current meta, is bring specials with you that can defeat anyone who's on the tower, that can make them run scared and run into your team and die. So really, I would expect to see a lot of splashdown, a lot of Ink Storm, maybe Ink Armor if they decide that they need the extra defense, but both of these teams really haven't needed to worry about that too much. It's been a pretty even back and forth so far, so neither team really needs that advantage. I would say more so they need specials that can either get a kill quick, like the Splashdown, or that can do a lot of work from any range, which includes the Stingray or the Ink Storm.
I agree, and one thing that we're going to have to keep note of here, the tower moves in a really, really open position once it hits that first checkpoint. Once you get there, that is a very difficult checkpoint to move past. You almost need to have 3 or 4 down in order to move past that reliably. You can see it right here on your screen. On the top right side there, you see that little grating. Any sort of ranged weapon, any any sloshing machine, any blaster, anything along those lines can get the kills from there. It looks like both of these teams are going to rely on their tri-sloshers to, or I'm sorry, those sloshing machines. You can tell what's on my mind, right? The tri-slosher's back.
And I mean, I love the tri-slosher. It's like I mentioned, my favorite weapon. So I'm with you. I wish they brought in 3 tri-sloshers. That would be not only would it be like the original meta we saw in Splatoon 1, but it would just be some darn good fun. Especially now that it's a little more mitigatable, if that's even a word. But we push forward here as QD Chetuchinu as only 2 members remaining. However, both of those members with their specials at the ready. So the sloshing machine, I'll be interested to see if they back off and decide to use their special here. Asriel sticking with that Splatbrella, and why wouldn't they? They were able to lead their team last game and also build up 6 different Ink Storm specials, which they are going to try to use there, but they're not going to get it off as the Stingray will take them down. However, in the meantime, their team continuing to push forward here as Story Overnight is looking for their 3rd win in a row. QD Chetuchinu finally getting on the tower there, and map control pretty evenly split. It's been a pretty even game so far. There really also hasn't been enough time for anything to get too well established, so I'll be interested to see how these duels, these 1v1s end up working out, because that's going to differentiate these 2 teams.
And I'm going to be honest here, in terms of being tooled for those 1v1s that you're talking about, I have to favor the sloshing machine comp here. So much killing power, and they've shown their accuracy. Look at that. Incredible arching of the shots here. They're both going to converge on someone over there in the corner. Spots one out there. Another one. That's a Luna. The Luna's supposed to be able to win those. And another one. This is the power of the sloshing machine. This is what you do here. This has been moving past all this while. The tower has been just kind of lazily sauntering along. It's Asriel on the tower, and with the Brella, you know it's going all the way. And what a dominating display there by Story Overnight.
We love talking about the sloshing machine, but it really is true that it is just so potent at all range extremes. Look at the map control as well. Just so much in favor of Story Overnight. Nothing that QD Chetuchinu could do to get out there. Held to a maximum of a 4 KA. Meanwhile, they will get a total or a high of 9 KA there as Story Overnight secures their 3rd and final necessary win to make it into grand finals. So a sweep once again for Story Overnight. That's 2 in a row for them as they sweep through in the winners semis and the winners finals. They have a long bit of a wait here as the losers bracket still has a good amount to get through, but a very deadly challenge awaits whichever team is able to make it out of the losers bracket. Will it be, once again, QD Chetuchinu who gets a chance at some redemption here, or will it be one of the 2 other remaining teams, that being 2000 and Myotonia? I don't believe we've gotten to see Myotonia play, but 2000 we have gotten to see. They've dethroned a couple of very, very strong teams, including Ninja. Let's see who comes out of it alive.
And like you said, we haven't seen Myotonia, but I'm really starting to hope now that 2000 versus Story Overnight, because 2000 has been running that double blaster comp. We talked about it a lot, but 2 blasters and a sloshing machine has some incredible slaying power that might finally be able to compete against Story Overnight's double tri-slosher, or I'm sorry, dang it, double sloshing machine comp. I'm still just so stunned to see the tri-slosher. That's why.
Me too, and I love it. I hope that continues. It is worth noting that this losers round 8 match, the losers semifinal, is a rematch of winners round 4. Myotonia swept 2003 to 0. And 2000 is no pushover of a team. They were able to defeat Kitano Team, Ninja, Splash. These are all very talented teams, and Myotonia swept through them 3-0. So I will be very excited to see if in a best of 3 it goes the same way. 2000 obviously looking for some redemption here. Myotonia aiming to prove that 3-0 in the winners bracket was no fluke and that they deserve to be in the losers finals and hopefully for them in the grand finals eventually.
Man, oh man, that's a set that we did not get to see. I am really excited to see what it is. This is Myotonia in general. I have to wonder what it is they're going to be capable of, because to beat a team like 2000 who made short work of their last opponent, I don't know. And because 2000 used the double blaster comp, I have to assume that whatever Myotonia did was outpainting it and getting pressure on them like we saw earlier on that 2000 kind of struggled with and was able to bring back. I have to wonder what composition they've been running, because they had to get in, they had to do something make a big push. They had to do something along those lines. So very exciting to see here. And I just can't wait to get into it. I know we've been saying that, but you got to understand, folks, this is a ton of fun to watch. Zach and I are two of the biggest Splatoon fans you will find. So this is such a wonderful opportunity for us. I consider it a privilege to be able to commentate these because we get first look at this as it's happening.
It really is just astounding, the level of play that we've gotten to see here. It is pretty interesting to note that these Japanese teams have been sort of revolving around, I would say, 8 to 10 weapons that they've been playing here, including things like the Splatbrella, the Sloshing Machine, both variants of the Rapid Blaster, the Range Blaster, the NZAP, the Roller even, just weapons that they feel can get the job done on any map and mode combination. That's why we see so few teams dramatically shuffle their weapon comp around from one map mode combination to the others. They feel that these are weapons with specials and sub-weapons that can excel on any map mode combination that the map list throws their way. So they really do feel confident in what they bring to the table. They are consistently looking at the meta and deciding what can excel and what is detrimental to them if they decide to play it. So it's not really so much about countering the enemy team as much as it is playing what you know, not vacating any of the strategies that you built up preparing for this tournament or just playing together as a team. You really have to go with what you know and be as strong, play to your strengths essentially, be as strong as you can in those areas where you know you can take the enemy out. And if you continue to do that, and if you're able to get ahead of your the enemy team, there's not really that much they can do to stop you. So I'll be very, very thrilled to see which team makes it out of this rematch. Myotonia, like I said, looking to prove themselves that they were no fluke in beating 2000. And after that, I'm not sure what we're going to see from Kyoani Tetsuchinu. In fact, I think they're shuffling around the bracket a little bit. 2000 may not have won after all. It looks like Kitaino team ended up winning that 2-1. So again, the bracket lying to us a little bit, having to change our commentary on the fly here. So Kitaino team, the fact that the team that they're facing still really doesn't change the fact that Myotonia is not facing a pushover team. Kitaino team able to make it all the way to the winter semifinals, defeating teams like Dark Horse. They were the original team to defeat Splash in a sweep, 3-0. They also swept through Quantum, who's been exploding in the Western scene lately as a very, very talented team. So they have had a fantastic day so far, taking out a top team in 2000, and now they're looking to do the same to Myotonia.
Kitaino team, Myotonia here. 4 teams left. Loser of this does get 4th place, but you know everyone wants a shot at Story Overnight. And again, Story Overnight has lost 3 games this entire tournament. Neptune, back in the States, Neptune has to be patting themselves on the back saying, all right, we did something here, and Ninja has put up the best performance against them so far. So, I don't know, with Ninja out now, I'm really interested in seeing what they're able to do here. Kitaino team versus Myotonia. And of course, Kyoani Tetsuchinu waiting in the wings in the losers finals. This is still a best of 3, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yes.
Yes, this is still a best of 3. So every match still as important as ever before. We are, of course, in losers round 8 now. So the maps we will be seeing, Rainmaker, Inkblot Art Academy, Tower Control on Black Belly, and then Splat Zones on Snapper Canal. And these are really interesting maps. Rainmaker, of course, being one of the notable Rainmaker maps in Splatoon 2. There's only one way that you can go on this map. There's no side way. There's no 2 ways to it. You have to get onto the plat, up the ramp, and then up a second ramp to get there. Once you get there, it's a sprint to get through, but that's the only way you can go, and the opponent knows that. So you have to put enough resources up there, and every push becomes a very difficult task. That one might be one of the lower scoring games that we see on Rainmaker. Tower Control Black Belly Skate Park, we've all been playing it for years. We know that quarter pipe, half pipe area, whatever you'd like to call it, is a danger zone. Stingray shuts it down, no question, but there are a lot of different ways that you can attack it, and there are a lot of different ways that you can break your way through. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. And then Splat Zones on Snapper Canal, if necessary, is one of the hardest zones to take in the game, I feel, because so much of it is blocked by that central structure that you can't shoot through. You have to find a way around it. But if you and an opponent are playing Ring Around the Rosie, then of course nobody's going to be taking it. You have to find a way to defend from all sides while also finding a way to attack from all sides. So, 3 very interesting maps, a little bit different than the kind of all-or-nothing maps that we've been seeing, the very fast-paced maps. I think all 3 of these will be a little bit slower, so we'll see which team comp ends up going better for that, which team tools themselves, and which team, of course, adapts.
Yeah, you do have to be very careful with the maps that were presented here for Losers Round 8. We started this tournament off with 4 out of the 5 potential maps being very, very long range, very, very wide open as well. These are going to be ones where every mistake is going to cost you even more. Inkblot Art Academy, we saw the devastation that was laid out on Inkblot Art Academy before. If you get wiped one time, the game could essentially be over for you. It's going to be so, so difficult for you to get back into the middle part of the map, because there's only really 2 ways to get back to the middle of the map. You have to jump down from the platform. That's the main way that people go, or you can try going all the way over to the left and climbing up that ramp, but that's pretty easily watched over and pretty easily predictable as well. So once you get 3 down or 4 down on the enemy team, you really have a major advantage, a lot more so than on other maps for that same mode that we're going to be watching, which is Rainmaker. Again, Rainmaker, you dictate the pace of play yourself based on the Rainmaker carrier. So whichever person is running it, they will be able to make as many points as humanly possible for themselves. And then tower control on Blackbelly Skate Park, again, more focus than normal is going to be paid to that half-pipe area. This was a crowd favorite at Squidstorm, watching all of the action that took place as that tower tried to make its way through the half-pipe. It goes through essentially a straight line. It doesn't really curve all that much. So a Stingray, especially with the wide extra length that it gets on the sides, is going to be able to take down anyone who's staying on the tower. And even if they're not directly on the tower, if they're just to the left or right of it, there's not really many places for them to go. It's a pretty narrow hallway, and you have to be incredibly careful when pushing it through there. But if you can make it, that's a very difficult number to overcome. So passing the half pipe is really the hallmark here. That gets you to about the 15 or 10 mark, and that should be a winning push on your end. But as we've seen before in this tournament today, no push is ever safe unless you get that knockout, because we can continue to reference the push to 1 and then the reverse all the way back to a knockout.
It's true. See now as we're getting into the lobby again, if you just joined right now, this is Inkergalactic Cup 2 hosted by IkaSportsTV. My name is Ninehole Grains. Been joined by the one and only incredible Shiny Hunter Zach. Your vocabulary is fantastic for someone who woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. I don't know how you do it, my friend, but
I could say the same about your pun game. I do not have the mental capacity to come up with such clever, witty things at the early hour that we rose to cast this tournament. But I have to say, it was incredibly worth it, not only to get to cast with you and to work with the fantastic people at IkaSportsTV, but also just to see the wide variety of teams from all of the regions that have been presented today. They did a fantastic job. We've now filtered down to just one singular region, but these teams have really earned their spots here. They've worked their hardest and really tried their hearts out to make it to this stage of the game. And now there's only 4 teams left in the tournament, and it's time to whittle it down from there.
Gonna finally get into this now, the action that we have been waiting to see. We're in the lobby here, working our way through. Here in a second, we'll see which teams are where. Let's see. Give us 1 second here to identify who is where. So we have, of course, Kitai no team. Let's see, Rito, Jinochi, Kitai no Rookie, Mayuki. Right, let's see here.
I believe the team that was green is going to be Kitai no team. We'll have to see how that's allocated within the actual game itself. So let's check out. We have Rainmaker on Inkblot Art Academy. Now we're seeing a lot of the same weapons that we were seeing before. It is, I believe, going to be Kitai no team that is coming out in the green here. and their
Yeah.
opponents will be in the purple. So Myotonia going to be the team in the purple here. It looks like the first pop of the Rainmaker will go to Kitano team. A stray suction bomb going to take any stragglers that might be sitting there out, but there's nobody around. And it looks like Kitano team doing a fantastic job of backing all but one player off, and that last player will grab the Rainmaker, so a bit of a steal there. They'll even get a straight point off of it, but they may have overextended there. That's a 3-down situation forced onto Myotonia by Kitano team, so they will get their lead back and continue to push forward into the opponent's plat.
I don't even think that they meant to pick up the Rainmaker in that situation. I think pressure on Kitano team. Instead, we're going to see it go back. Not really a whole lot, and this is a Tentatek splatter shot. We need to keep in mind that that is one of the strongest weapons here because the Inkjet can put pressure on that plat. We talked earlier about having to get creative to find a way to put pressure on that plat because the enemy knows that you're going to be doing that. One of the best ways, an Inkjet, and going to die with that Inkjet to Kitano team's Brella. And this has been a bloodbath here at the beginning. That 47, a pretty solid opening push, but as long as the Rainmaker is over on this side, you have to be careful, though it does return to the middle.
So that's going to be Mayube going in with the Brella here, who's going to come away with the kill as well, trying to pop that Rainmaker. They get that 3-down situation. The Tentatek's still alive, though, so they have to be wary of that. They will fall, and now the Brella pushing up the Luna as well, trying to get some early ink in here. They make it all the way into the 30s, trying to get the Baller out as well, just to ensure that this push continues, but they'll be stopped at 16. The Baller will go down as well, expending a lot of resources to get it there, but moving up that ramp is around the safe area on this map. I would say once you get up to that ramp, it's relatively safe. With the caliber of teams that we have today, nothing is ever truly safe, but getting into the 16 mark on this map is not bad considering how difficult it can be to move through the enemy's plat, especially when it's so short of a distance to come back from your spawn to that plat area. So well done to them. It's going to take a good amount of effort here for Kitano team to not come out of this one being the Game 1 winner. Still a lot of game left to go, though. Both teams going 2 down. Let's see how this one plays out.
Some more jockeying for position here, and we can't state enough how able to play defense on this map because, like you said, the reason that that ramp is such a safe zone is because, as you said again, it takes no effort whatsoever to get back down from there. You spawn so close to it, you can set yourself up however you like, and it's a point-blank shot for a Stingray if you have to use it. Not that the Stingray is concerned about range, but it is something that is worth noting. You can sit in that spawn. You can have a completely safe avenue of doing it. And I love the pressure that this Luna has been putting on everybody the entire time. Gets taken out there, a very nice snapshot there. If that Luna gotten that second shot off, that would have been a double, would have been even more pressure. Instead, we're going to be going back the other way. We might finally see a little bit of pressure, although this splatter shot, making things very difficult, does go down, but look at where they're all set up. 3 of them all set up, waiting in the ink, sharking around. You can almost hear the Jaws theme.
Not a bad reference as well, and they're doing a great job of dodging just the plethora of bombs that are being hailed their way, mostly splat bombs and I think maybe 1 or 2 others, but now they're finally looking for their opportunity to push forward here. They will get a beautiful direct with the sloshing machine to shut that push down at 49. Still plenty of time, though, for another push to happen here, as 3 are going to go down on the side of Myotonia. So Kitano team is shutting that one down successfully. They're going to have the Stingray as well. That's an optimal time to pop it when they're all coming back from spawn and they're kind of grouped up still. A lot of them have gone, at least 2 of them have gone over to this far left-hand side, so trying a different approach here as they look for new ways to get back into the middle portion of the map. The Range Blaster will fall to a well-placed shot from the Rainmaker, looking for a double as well onto the Brella, but again, the Brella has the extra advantage of blocking those incoming shots, so they will fall to that Brella, who's going to be able to block incoming fire as well as they work with the Inkstorm to pop that Rainmaker shield. Gets the kill as well. This Brella has really put in their day's work for this tournament.
Gonna have to put in a little bit more. Unfortunately, a little 3 down for Kitano team. The last one is the sloshing machine, but the auto bomb coming in and evening that one up very quickly. The Range Blaster has to retreat back to the side. It's going to allow the sloshing machine to come back over, and you know that this sloshing machine is finally close, and now indeed does have. Going to run all the way back. What? Is this what I think it is? Are you going to run all...
What's going on?
I see why. It's because they know that they already have the... So why not sit all the way back and just fire from there? Unless there's some other shenanigan I don't know about. There's not.
Oh my gosh, and it worked too.
Walk
It worked.
all the way.
The Stingray, the optimal strat, knowing that they didn't want to get into another firefight because they were so close to that Stingray. They say, you know what? I'll take a leisurely stroll back to my spawn, popping the Stingray, and to their great credit, finding the Rainmaker immediately, melting them down, and shutting down any opportunity that Myotonia might have had to try and push in overtime. An 18 KA coming out in a losing effort for Myotonia's Splatbrella user, but it is going to be Kitano team who comes away with that game.
And calling it a leisurely stroll, we use that term a lot of different things. That was quite literally a leisurely stroll. He wasn't even swimming. That was just walking back, jumping in kid form, and then just waiting there. I mean, we switched off, but I had to imagine there was a little dance up there, a couple sloshes, do your laundry, sit around, squid bag nobody in particular, and then very quickly just mow down the Rainmaker with the Stingray. But that was a nice little bit of entertainment there, and a little bit of style to cap off what was a very convincing and strong game one.
Yeah, definitely wanted to kill time there until the end. I'm sure we could have seen some definite crazy squid bagging or whatever from the spawn of Kitano team there, but that is not to discredit Myotonia at all. The Brella popped off that first game, getting an 18 KA, being a huge impact on the offensive pressure that they bring in, which is going to be so necessary on Blackbelly Skate Park, which can be one of the most volatile maps in the entire game. Tower control especially, because you have to have somebody on the tower, because you're confined in very tight spaces, and because that tower has to rest in such a closed off hallway area. Things like the sloshing machine and the Stingray can so excel, as can the Inkstorm. You can just send the Inkstorm barreling down that mini ramp area, and it can do some very devastating damage that only requires one or two more shots from one of your teammates in order to finish off an enemy player. So when you push, you have to be very, very careful. We are seeing one major changeover that I see, and that is to the Forge Splattershot Pro, something I haven't seen too much. They are going to be running Object Shredder and 2 mains worth of special power-ups, so they are really going to be relying on putting those bubbles up, likely near the tower, just to give them a bit of a shield, which is a super smart strategy.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's amazing just how quickly that thing gets built up. I always want to look at these players and see what builds they're running. I feel like more often than not, it doesn't have anything to do with special charge. It just builds it up that quickly, and that was the most annoying spot to place one, both for them and for us. Of course, that Cloud does not like spectator cam anymore, wants to go back to the old way of watching Toon, apparently. In any case, we are back here on the left side of the map. You see them being very cautious here, not trying to get into too much trouble. That's the strongest bubble I think I've ever seen, getting the kill there. The Luna Blaster taking its time, not opting to chase down. It is getting taken out as you see what looks to be some sort of flank here. We'll see if anything comes, although at this level, flanks have not worked out today.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the loudest pops of the bubble I've heard, and as you said here, it's going to be very, very difficult to flank because both teams know it's a very definite possibility, so they are having somebody back there prepared for just such an inevitability. So they're unfortunately getting caught out by 3 members there as the Forge Splattershot. They're going to go down pretty quickly. That's a 2-down situation forced by Kitano team on to Myotonia, so they will have the Luna Blaster sharking around. The Stingray is going to come out from Kitano team, or from Myotonia, as they try and lock it down. The Luna Blaster hanging on to their baller, but they will die with it without being able to pop it. That is a lead gain for Kitano team, and they only have 1 player alive, so at least they got what they came for. But 75, especially on this map, is basically nothing. So lots of work still to be done. A special or 2 already built up on the side of Myotonia, including the slap bomb launcher that we're seeing here. They're going to come away with 1 kill there onto Mayube and get the lead right back. So it's going to be a massive trade there as they also just tap that Luna to death, and they will possibly be the first team here to get this tower into the half-pipe area.
You would think so, but this is going a little bit slower than I was expecting. The Rapid Blaster has had a chance to spawn here for Kitano team. They're going to have a chance to make something happen here. The Rapid Blasters fight each other, but this time it is not Kitano team that goes down, or that comes out on top. The Rain Cloud again coming in. Another Rain Cloud going down, this time from the other team, and everything is dying. It is raining death here. But it does look like this push is going to continue, or maybe not. I spoke too soon. Blackbelly Skate Park, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, just the commentator's curse in general. When you say something, the opposite is bound to happen. So they are trying to execute that strategy. As we mentioned, the bubble's coming out right next to the tower, and Kitano team, because of it, forced to sort of back off. at the prospect of those bubbles detonating sometime soon. Kitano team attempting to push forward here with this baller that didn't get to be used last time by the Luna Blaster. They died in the process. They're going to pop it preemptively here. There's a couple members hanging around by the tower for Myotonia, but they won't go down. They position themselves wisely as the Luna is able to get someone from around a wall with that indirect shot. A smart play there. They're going to look for some more kills. They're pressing in very, very far, trying to keep Myotonia from getting anywhere close to the tower, and it pays off here. Kitano team having to spend a lot of resources to do that, but they now have control of the tower, and they have an Inkstorm to boot.
A double Inkstorm, in fact, if I'm not mistaken there. Or maybe it is only one. No, I think it was two in that situation that came out there. Not a whole lot coming, though, because the Stingray does not care what the weather is. It's going to do its thing. They still have one up on tower, though, so they will have a chance to make a push here, although it looks like the one on tower is going to wait as long as possible, try to get a sharking kill, but sharking Umbrella does not usually go well, and it does not go well there either. The Luna Blaster has worked its way back to the middle, and the Luna Blaster has to be the key player here, but instead it's going to be the Umbrella here, and what a performance that we are seeing right now. This is still a very low-scoring game, like we talked might happen, but right now, it's really looking like Myotonia has a great grasp of this here. Another big kill. Not going to be able to get off the rain cloud, though, and that might be instrumental in ending this push.
Yeah, Myotonia really playing like they want to force a game 3 here. Nice trade there, having to get a little bit of a left-hand side flick in order to get that kill, but that's a 3-down situation forced on a Kitano team with only 30 seconds left. So Kitano team going to have a very short amount of time to try and build up these specials. All they can really do is rush over to this half-pipe area and try to get 1 or 2 lucky kills with their bombs, because I don't think Myotonia is going to be able to fall if they remember to just back off and let the tower sort of sit where it is. They have plenty of map control in mid. There's nothing they really need to do. The only special at the ready here has just been used, and that's the Inkstorm. The bubble's coming out as well. Kitano team desperately trying to get on the tower, which they will achieve. They will force overtime. They have the Brella on the tower, so that will give them some defense, and maybe something can happen here as they're pressing forward into this half pipe.
I think that the Stingray is going to happen now, and it did. They waited. That was dirty. That was so dirty. They waited for the tower to hit the checkpoint, and then they used the Stingray, because they know what's easier than hitting a slow-moving target? A target that doesn't move at all.
It's just like we saw on the Inkblot Art Academy game. You just have a Stingray user at the last second sit back, say, okay, when are you going to get the objective? When are you going to get the Rainmaker, or in this case, the tower? Come back and just burn them down. We see a couple of really high KAs, which does not surprise me. The Rapid getting 19, the Brella getting 16. The Brella's been instrumental in these games here, and we now are going to require a game 3 to settle this one. We'll be going to Splat Zones on Snapper Canal, just a 1-zone map, but it can be a very difficult zone to get entirely, as you mentioned earlier.
It is, and this is one of those maps that a lot of teams are trying to figure out, especially on Splat Zones. There's so many angles of entry here that you have to account for all of them, but it's such a wide map. There's so much room for you to get specials. There's room for big flanks. There's a lot of different ways, and it's so hard to keep control of all of it. Inkstorm, definitely the best special here in terms of map control, because you can just let it go, and it will get the entire zone by itself if left to its own devices. Don't be surprised if both teams run 2 Inkstorms here. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I'm saying I would not be surprised if it did happen. And given the way both of these 2 games went, it's hard for me to pick a favorite here.
It's going to be tough. I mean, both of these teams have had exceptional performances. It's been very back and forth, and I haven't seen too much of a one-sided battle either way. Myotonia really did a great job of getting back into that game, not really relinquishing control that often, and also just maintaining map control in mid. I think their weapons really catered to the map and mode combination, and the game really, in some cases, with some teams being so close in skill level, is either decided by the little mistakes your team makes, or just by the weapon comp you decide to bring, especially compared to your enemies. So with things like the Rapid Blaster that can tap the tower from range and basically stay safe while doing so, and also lay down some ink with that Splat Bomb launcher, and with things like the Splat Brella that can protect themselves and also launch off that Inkstorm, which we're going to be seeing 2 of on the side of Kitano team and 1 of on the side of Myotonia. It's going to be a rainy day here on Snapper Canal, but I mean, honestly, I could not call this game 3 for either team. It's going to be super, super close.
Yeah, we already see one of those rain clouds coming down, like you Said the other one has already been expended as well. And hey, it's that rainy. Why not take a swim while you're at it? Everybody is getting drenched here today. And both of these Brellas, God, this is such a scary composition. If they both run together, how are you supposed to kill that?
And joining with that, you have the Splatter Shot, which already has that splash down at the ready, and the Luna Blaster, which gives you that baller. That's going to provide you not only a good chunk of ink on the zone if you want it, but it also can just surprise you, walk right up to you, and detonate. So it's going to be such a difficult comp to contend with. The big differences on the side of Myotonia are that they have the one Brella of their own, which is going to have to play phenomenally to outplay two. And then they have the Rapid Blaster, which if it stays at range and if it can get its shots past that Umbrella Shield, it's going to be one of the most instrumental weapons in taking out those two Splat Brellas. And then, of course, the N-Zap, that's going to give them... Oh, okay, well, that was a bit optimistic. That was maybe worth it, but not when they have their shield at the ready. But the N-Zap, if they are able to pop that ink armor consistently, they will have an extra shot that they are able to take. So it all comes down to how effective Myotonia can be at building up those two specials and maintaining their optimal distance.
And they've done a pretty good job of it so far. That double rain cloud just eating that zone, going to lose control, not quite take it yet, and that might have been just enough of a defense for them to take it back, and it is. That's 3 down. That was the last-ditch effort there. They threw both of their rain clouds on the same side at the same time. The only one left is the Luna Blaster, and the Luna Blaster is not going to be able to paint the zone. They've got to come up with something desperate now, and they know it too. Very well-timed splashdown, not going to kill everybody, but nobody seems to be dying to anything. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. They are not. What an incredible showing here by a team comp that you didn't think was necessarily tooled for it. Myotonia, an exciting game there. Even if it didn't last as long, so much was happening in that last segment, and they held off all of it.
Myotonia really played well in that game here. They had some incredible moments facing those Brellas 1v1 and keeping them to 2 KAs apiece. They did still have time to build up 3 Inkstorms, but their Brella did the same, and they were able to outduel the members of Kitano team and really prove that they deserve to be here. They will move on. They will get no worse than top 3. Kitano team will be leaving this tournament at the number 4 spot, but they played exceptionally well today, coming away with some huge victories over teams like 2000 and Splash, and then later on against Dark Horse as well. So they played exceptionally well. They should be very proud of their performance today, and I would not be surprised if on Twitter later today we were going to see some team pictures of them.
I love that practice. Can I just say that?
It's
love
wonderful.
That. It's wonderful, and it shows that, you know, we're all there. We're all in it together. It's a performance, even if it wasn't the performance that they wanted necessarily. It's still their performance. They're going to own it. They're going to go along, and it's a nice job. See you next tournament type of deal, because they know there's going to be another tournament, another chance. They want to commemorate each tournament as it goes along, and that was always, when I was on a team, that was one of my favorite things to do. It was always so fun to try to pose those. I just think it's a great practice in the Splatoon community. It's a lot of fun.
It's so wholesome, too. We see, especially on Twitter, there's a lot of real-world drama. There's a lot of drama that in the grand scheme of things probably doesn't matter. There's a lot of animosity. But with those team pictures, you can really just take a step back after a team has fought for hours and hours in a tournament to place as well as they did. They can finally step back, get into a private lobby, have a little bit of fun playing around with their with making their picture, either, you know, picking a weapon that has a funny special or doing some sort of theme, whether it's with their articles of clothing or with their specials or with their weapons. It really is just so fun to see that, and it really helps to celebrate the accomplishments that they have in such a stacked tournament like this one. Getting 4th is a fantastic accomplishment. It could really allow them to get something like first place in another tournament, were this one not so stacked with talent from all across the region. And of course, with all of the teams that made it to the top 8, they can say that they outlived all 10 other countries that were in this tournament, and it's just Japan now. They've been doing a fantastic job of it, and I'll be excited to see their picture on Twitter later. But Myotonia going to have a chance to move back into the winner's bracket. They will have to go through Kyowa no Tetsu Chinu there, as I think the losers finals is still best of 3, so high stakes all around.
Wow. This late in the bracket, still best of 3. It just makes every game mean that much more. And right now, if you're Story Overnight, you're kind of looking, laughing, waiting. You know that you have to, as these teams right now are fighting these best of 3 do or die situations, you know that you have to lose 8 games. You who have lost 3 games in this entire tournament, somehow has to lose 8 games if you are to lose this tournament. You know they're feeling confident right now, but as we get into this, these losers round 9 maps, Tower Control on Moray Towers, very fast. Splat Zones, Starfish Main Stage, very fast. Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard, not necessarily fast, but a lot of different ways that you can go, and a very, very exciting map as a result. What a fun best of 3 to play here towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I really like the maps that they've chosen here. Again, I talked about this before, but Splat Zone, Starfish Main Stage, a pretty contentious map mode combination. It's one that you either really like or you really hate. It can be one that's very easily can snowball in one team's favor. You can get spawn camped relatively easily on that map and mode combination. But that sort of map and mode combination, that sort of play style really means that you have to adjust your strategy towards being as effective as you can early on. Getting that early advantage is even more important on a map and mode combination like that. I wouldn't be surprised if some teams ran things like opening Gambit just to ensure that they were the first ones to get the zone and that they could build up their specials, be the first ones there, be the first ones to lock down the objective, and then start pushing back hard on the enemy team, not letting them out of their spawn, and really getting their confidence built up and a precedence set that they are not going to be going anywhere and they want to make it into the grand finals. And then, of course, for something like TC Moray Towers, it's a lot larger of a map. There's a lot more distance to cover. It's going to be very tough for one team to gain an edge here. So I would not be surprised if neither team got past the 50 or 40 mark here, as both of these very talented teams go head to head.
And again, if you are just joining us here towards the end, this Inkergalactic Cup 2, hosted by IkaSportsTV. We are in losers finals right now. We started off with 46 teams, 11 countries. We're now down to 3 teams and 1 country. That country, of course, being Japan. The 3 teams, the 2 you're seeing right now, Miyatonia and Kyotetsu Chinu. Goodness gracious, these names. These are so hard
tough.
to say.
It's
over
tough.
and over. Okay, let me try that again. Kyotetsu Chinu. And then, of course, in finals, Story Overnight. The last team that has only dropped 3 games over the course of this entire tournament. Dominating wins in winners semis, dominating wins in winners finals. They are waiting in the wings right now for whoever dares challenge them. But right now, we are here in losers finals. And as Zach and I have said so much, both of these teams, incredible runs to get here, incredible games, incredible wins to get here. Neither one of us can really pick which team we think is going to win, because quite honestly, both of these teams have beaten so many good teams. It's like, all right, well, who has the edge?
It's a potluck at this point. I mean, you look at Story Overnight. Story Overnight coming into this tournament, seated at the 23rd position. It goes to show just how potent each of these players are. I'm not sure, actually, if this is a pickup squad or a legitimate, fully fledged team, but they have done a fantastic job in the winners bracket here. They're going to be cooled off a little bit from not having played. I'm sure they'll be doing some quad squads or something while they wait. But as Nine mentioned, getting 2 straight sweeps in the semis and the finals of the winners bracket. Again, doing very, very well. Before that, facing a close set against Ninja, but were able to persevere 3-2. Ninja now out of the tournament, so they don't have to worry about any oncoming retribution from them. And then defeating other teams like Neptune. Neptune being one of the more potent Western teams in the scene right now. So they are doing very, very well for themselves. And again, they would have to lose 8 games overall out of a potential, I believe, 14 in order for them to not make it into the championship that they deserve. So they're currently awaiting for the grand finals match. Miyatonia currently awaiting, or we're currently waiting while this lobby gets set up. And their opponent, of course, going to be the Kureno Tetsuchinu team that has been doing very, very well on their own, having a couple of fantastic sets come up. They were able to take out Kitaino team in the winners bracket after that team took out Splash. So we're just seeing top teams basically trade with each other, going back and forth to ensure that we have the correct champion. I'm not sure who that's going to be, but I'm excited to find out. The best of 3 for the losers finals is going to be starting very, very shortly. We just have to get everybody through. Let's see what weapons weapons they elect to pick here. And BTM has apparently been drafted. Congratulations, BTM.
Congratulations. Hey, man, he has been putting in major work right now. It is at the end of the... He is the one who gets to play hero. That sub, that secret sub that nobody thought was going to happen here, but you have to expect the unexpected here in these tournaments. Wow. What an incredible...
30.
I am stunned right now. Yeah, level 30. There's no film on him. There is no footage of this man in action. Most of them probably don't even know what weapon he plays, but somebody new played the wild card there. BTM.
You know what? Betting on BTM's not a bad idea. You look at the Forge, and I mean, it's been a very, very good weapon. We've seen it a couple times in this tournament, and the Bubble Blower has been super clutch. So BTM might not be a bad addition to a team, but as you can see here, they have remade the lobby, trying to ensure that everyone gets sorted out correctly. We will still be moving on to tower control on Moray Towers, which, again, even though it's tower control, all that focus is going to be set on the middle part of the map and the first 2 streets on either side. It's really a map that gets cut almost in half based on the total size of it. You really don't use the first 2 or 3 streets very much at all unless it gets to a super devastating place for one team. So unless it's a knockout state, you're really only having to worry about 2 or 3 streets and the middle part of the map. Of course, this map does have ink rails, which were not there from Splatoon 1. That allows you to travel a couple of places on the map a lot quicker, including over the middle portion of the map. You can kind of take one of those ink rails and jump down on your opponents or jump over to the sniper outlook and try to take them out if you have a long-range weapon that's camping up there. Again, these teams really have allocated themselves out more toward aggressive comps, and in terms of the lobby, we are missing somebody on one of the teams, so we're having a bit of late game jitters. I do remind you, it is pretty late, I believe, in Japan right now, so they're trying to work out all the kinks here while trying to stifle their yawns.
Absolutely, and to quote FLC, the great FLC, there is ocean separating our host and our players here, and with the netcode doing us no favors, it's kind of a miracle we haven't run into more at this point. Been very, very clean so far. This is the final home stretch here. We will get through this, believe you me. If you were following the Western teams here, if you were wondering how they were going to do, I know a lot of the viewers on the stream will be fans of the Western scene. Rising Moon and Team Olive actually tied. No, I'm sorry. Team Olive made it one further. So Team Olive was the highest placing Western team here. And they got, let me see if I can count my bracketology.
Tied for 9th, I believe.
Tied for 9th? Yeah, no, tied for... Wait, no, you're right. Yes, tied for 9th is the position that they got there. Tied for 9th, so just outside of top 8. They went down to Shimona Games after getting taken out of winner's bracket by Ninja. Ninja, of course, is out of the tournament here, but Team Olive getting 9th place. Respectable here. I know that we'll be seeing them later today in the Squid Storm series as well, so there are a few teams here that are going to be doing that, and we'll be there for the ride. It's a long day.
Yeah, it's the Squidboard's November series will be coming up later on. That's going to be starting at noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and I believe that is 10 a.m. Pacific Time. So if you do want to catch more Splatoon 2 competitive action, please, it'll be on Ink TV, twitch.tv/InkTVSplat. You can go there and check us out. We'll both be part of the commentary team for that. But this has been a fantastic tournament. I think it was definitely worth it for us to wake up at the hour we did and look over the teams from these 11 regions. We got to see, even in the earlier stages of this tournament, we got to see some fantastic play going back and forth between these teams. Some Japanese teams especially that I had not seen for several tournaments, going back in some cases like ReSPC to the last Inkstorm. So wonderful to see a lot of returning faces and a lot of new ones as well. Most of the teams that are left here in the tournament are relatively new faces to me, but they obviously have been trained very well and are doing their best to make it to those grand finals. These are the last 2 teams that could potentially make it into the grand final, so a lot is at stake here. As I mentioned before, with it being a best of 3, every mistake is amplified so heavily that you really cannot afford to overextend. Those 3 or 4 down situations are that much more costly, and Moray Towers is a huge map, so getting back from spawn into mid, unless you jump, is going to be a long journey. So that's going to be an even more delayed time for you to rejoin your team. You don't want to trickle in, so you have to coordinate with your team very carefully on when and how you want to push.
Absolutely, and right now, Bravo team is going to be Kyoa Tetsuchinu. So if you are following along at home, that's going to be them. And then Miatonia is going to be our alpha team in this set. So I know I personally have been having trouble following along with that. It's difficult. After a while, they all start to blend together, and it's hard to identify which team is which.
It's pretty crazy. Just seeing so many Japanese characters and really not knowing in some cases who they are, but it really is fun to see a lot of the same weapon comps be brought in because it shows a lot of the consistency. It shows that these teams have figured out really what the best weapon is to bring to the table. It shows that they've been studying and practicing and looking at each map and mode combination and saying, okay, even though if these maps and modes change a fair amount, these 1 or 2 weapons that I play are so good right now. And so they're willing to change. They're willing to be flexible in terms of each meta they're willing to change. But for now, they usually load out with only 1 or 2 weapons per person. We're seeing here the Rapid Blaster come back, the Sloshing Machine come back too on the side of Kyoto Tetsuchinu. And then the Forge is going to come back as well with that same build of the 2 mains worth of special power-up and the Object Shredder. So we will be seeing the Bubbles come back. I'm sure they'll be sticking around for a very long time, and they're going to be so nice to have around the tower too.
And another interesting thing to note, that was a stealth jump Rapid Blaster. So that's not something that we see a whole lot, but it is there. And of course, the Forge. You get excited whenever you see a Tri-Slosher. I get excited whenever I see a Forge. And as I say that, the thing that I love is cruelly taken away from me here by the Sloshing Machine. I think both of us can relate in that respect.
Oh, yes. The commentator's curse taken to the extreme there. Whatever happens, from what we say, the opposite is actually going to happen in the game. The Inkstorm coming out as well. That's what basically the Splatbrella is there for, to just farm the Inkstorm and try to get some kills along the way. It's nice to have them on the tower. Even though they're not a long-range weapon, they can provide a lot of blockage and a lot of cover to get those extra 1 or 2 points that you need in order to regain a lead. And we're already seeing Miyotonia coming through with a huge push past the halfway mark, all the way up to 45, and the push isn't over yet. They're all, 3 out of the 4 of them anyway, grouped up around the tower. One of them additionally is going to go down, so that's a 2-down situation for them, but they will continue pushing all the way up to 32, 31 now. Beautiful direct there with the Rapid Blaster. Again, with the Rapid, a direct is not enough to kill by itself, but if they're already damaged, they can do a decent amount of damage. So, again, I don't think Miyotonia has any plans of stopping, and Kyoto Tetsuchinu has a long way to go in order to stop them, if at all possible.
It's been all Miyotonia here at the start. That's going to be another down. They've paid for it with their lives, but they got what they were looking for in that situation. Now what'll be interesting to see, take a look at the Sloshing Machine here on the top of your screen. You see there for Kyoto Tetsuchinu actually going back down. I thought maybe they'd hold up there a little bit longer, trying to use the Stingray. Double Stingray! Now I see why they stepped back. Wow, fireworks going everywhere, although I don't think anyone went down from that. Okay, finally it goes down with the last burst there from the Stingray, but the pressure needs to go on the Overlook here. If you don't take the enemy's Overlook, you're not going to be able to find any sort of pressure, and the last possible second saving them there with the splashdown, but going to get taken down there, the Rapid Blaster, just too quick to let that one escape.
And this tower continues to push for Kyoto Tetsuchinu all this time here. Miyotonia hanging out basically on their high ground street area, not really even wanting to bother with the tower that much. I think Kyoto Tetsuchinu is pushing very far in, trying to get kills before they continue pushing the tower there. One person has jumped back on, so they will continue their best push of the day, but unfortunately, they overextend. They have to jump off there on the left-hand side. A reverse Stingray coming on the side of Miyotonia this time. They do have a Sloshing Machine, and that is what they are there for, to make sure that nobody can get on the tower, and it works very well. Now less than 2 minutes for Kyoto Tetsuchinu to come back and try to get up to that 5 mark, especially on Moray Towers. That's a pretty unheard of number, as is 28. 28 is not that common either, so both of these teams, again, very adept at pushing the objective. So far, Miyotonia in a decent position to take game 1, but still a lot of fight left in this Kyoto Tetsuchinu team.
And that was such a sad situation. They had worked their way up to finally had someone there, and it was the Stingray might not have done much, but what really diffused that situation was actually the Ink armor was the reason that bomb pushed them all the way off the map, and they lost their position there. So the ink armor actually hurting the team instead of helping it. Not something that you see all the time there. Certainly an unfortunate situation, and if you're Chinu, at that point, you're just kind of like, seriously? We do all that and our own special comes back to kill us? That's just our luck.
It's a rather unfortunate turn of events, but they're starting to stack up their specials a little bit. We see the Splattershot Jr. popping that ink armor there, and the Stingray coming out as well on the right-hand side. That'll take out the Forge, which is one of the main long-range weapons they have to contend with. The other main one being the Rapid Blaster. They're going to force a 2-down situation onto Miltonia, and they will have another opportunity to push the tower here. Before they do that, though, two members already being very aggressive, pushing into these upper streets. I mentioned before this game even got started that these upper streets are normally not dealt with, but Chinu really feeling confident enough to push all the way forward and give whoever's riding the tower, which in this case it's one of their sloshing machines, give them a little bit of breathing room so that they can push forward pretty much uncontested on to that first checkpoint, or that second checkpoint rather, that they'll need to try and clear in the last 12 seconds of the game. But they go 3 down, only the Splattershot Jr. remains. They're going to have to try and stay alive and make a last second push here, but Miltonia looking at a great position to keep this one.
Try to get a little cheeky there, run up there, bop him with the umbrella and get a kill there, but instead going to have to go ahead and settle for the regular kill. But I have to say, the Forge got a huge kill in that situation. Traded with the Splattershot there. The Splattershot had pushed up in a very commanding position. That Splattershot had Splashdown, and if the Splattershot was able to get the kill without using the Splashdown, I think that might have been what Chinu needed to push all the way up and get the kill that was necessary, and at least put enough pressure that they could have moved past that second checkpoint. But it's, I mean, what have we talked about? We said it so many times. Just 1 or 2 plays going the other way, that's what's going to decide these games. I know the final score doesn't look all that close, but you have to understand that if that play had gone a different way, we could be having a completely different conversation right now.
And that sentiment is amplified on this map and mode combination so much. We saw earlier how quickly this map and mode can steamroll in one team's favor. We'll have to see if that replicates itself here, but I feel like weapons like the Rapid Blaster with that Splat Bomb launcher are going to be so crucial. Things that have an impact on this Splat Zone, because it's a pretty large zone. One thing like a Baller or a Splashdown cannot do is take over the entire zone. With that special, you're going to need multiple of them. Of course, I'm sure we're going to be seeing the return of the Inkstorm, potentially 1 or maybe even 2. We have seen the double Splatbrella comp coming out today. And also, the Stingray is still not a bad pick on this map, but it's still relatively linear and straightforward. Not nearly as something like Port Mackerel or Manta Maria, but it can still be very effective in its own right. So I'm not sure we're going to be seeing much of a change in the weapon comps of either of these teams. Most of these Japanese teams that are left in this tournament know what's good and they know what they can handle, which in most cases is going to be the Splatbrella, things like the N-Zap, of course, the Sloshing Machine and the Rapid Blaster, the Range Blaster. Blasters can still be very, very good and excel on Splat Zones, especially if they have a special that complements what they're trying to do with the objective.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 2 Splatbrellas here come out from one of these teams. We haven't seen it from either of these teams, but it's just such a commanding... it's just so commanding. You can cover both of the flanks. You can, again, use that Inkstorm like you talked about. Cover up all the zone. Be very interested in seeing here. And the Blaster play. I will be very interested to see if we have Blasters. We know... Okay, so we do have 1 Blaster here. And we have, okay, so we have Blasters from both teams, and that's so interesting, and it's something that I feel like we're only seeing recently, is Blasters used in Splat Zones, not just sometimes, but all the time.
Yeah, that's exactly the sentiment I was getting at as well, is that the Blasters aren't usually meant for turfing. You would think they would be terrible for Splat Zones because they just are not great at laying down the ink. There's so many other weapon classes and specific weapons that are better at it, but it really does help to round out your team comp a lot. And of course, if you're running things like the Rapid Blaster, you can have an effect on the objective. And the Range Blaster as well with that Inkstorm, both of them use their specials for the objective, and then their main weapon they use because they have great aim, because they have a great capacity to locate their targets, and unfortunately there, a 2v1 is not going to work out in their favor. But we've seen a major start here from Miltonia, getting this zone already into the 40s and now the 30s, splashing down on the person who jumped in, but they'll stay alive and actually get the kill. I'm not exactly sure how that worked.
That was the best timed ink armor I've ever seen in my life. The splashdown was perfectly timed, but the ink armor had come out in the middle of the jump. It saved them just enough, and just like that, we're going back the other way. The zone in control of Kyotetsuchinu, and wow, I'm just as stunned as you are in that situation. Range Blaster over here on this side going to do a great job of locking down. That Rain Cloud is getting very close, going to take this opportunity to Shark. But you see all the specials, we talked about it, and there it is, case in point, specials running through. Not going to be able to take it, but they waited so long to build them up. That's how this map is usually played, but so far, Kyotetsuchinu is showing, hey, that's not enough, you're going to need more than specials.
And you notice Myotonia had to burn those specials early. They had to burn them in their court area behind the zone instead of on the zone itself. So while they weren't able to initially get in, they have made it in now, but they still have a massive penalty of 46 to contend with now that Kyotetsuchinu has gotten the zone back in their favor. This is looking very good for them to potentially take this one to a game number 3. We're seeing the Umbrella battles come out here. They're going to end up trading with each other. That battle works essentially the same. It's just opening and shutting that Umbrella shield. They fire around the same time, so that's why that trade ended up happening here. But the flank coming out from Kyotetsuchinu's range blaster, it's a very recognizable flank. It's a very common flank, but it's one you always have to be paying attention to. And because they were not able to get on the zone, Myotonia loses the lead here currently to Kyotetsuchinu, who may have a chance to knock out here, but they do not get into the zone in time. Specials flying left and right. They will lose their end zap, but they do gain the zone. They have a pretty big penalty to work through, but plenty of time to do it, and they do not want to go to a game 3 and give them any momentum.
Yeah, man, such incredible movement here. I wanted to talk just some wacky movement here. Blaster versus Brella. Generally not a good matchup for the Blaster. And of course, needing a little help there, the Blaster does manage to escape with its life. But now going back to Kyotetsuchinu and their control at this point, the range that they have and the flexibility, and that ink armor has come in handy for them so many times. You see they're sitting on it right now, just trying to save it for the last possible minute. And now it finally does come out to match the ink armor that has come out here. And, oh man, they're going down so quick!
Yeah, only an Inkstorm is really contesting the zone for them. They now are in desperation mode. The splatter shot is going to pop this splashdown. It's not going to have enough impact. They land on the speakers, and they will not cap enough of the zone to take it over for Myotonia. So a beautifully done job there. And that will force a Game 3 out, as we are going to have to go to, I believe, Sturgeon Shipyard, Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard, in order to settle this one between Myotonia and Kyotetsuchinu, who was able to come away with a Game 2 victory there. It did not look good for them at the onset.
It didn't, and there was a lot of pressure there, but they did a better job of positioning themselves once they had taken the movement that they had, and that range blaster, I really feel, was the difference in that match. Some very important kills, pressure that other weapons just can't put on those raised areas. And of course, every time you have a Rain Cloud Ink Storm as your special, you know you're going to be able to contribute no matter what the objective is.
With Sturgeon Shipyard, we've seen it several times throughout this tournament already. Again, with it being Rainmaker, the pace of play is solely dictated by the player. The most common strategy is to go to the left-hand side alleyway, but we also saw in this tournament a beautifully executed quarterback sneak of the Rainmaker, just going straight through mid and climbing up that ramp to get the lead. So I'll be interested to see if either of these teams elects to go with that strategy. You can also take the far right-hand route, but it's not nearly as common or effective, as that is a long way to get to the pedestal. So again, with the sloshing machine being so potent here and the Stingray being so good, I would expect to see that, at least one iteration of it on both teams, potentially two on one side here, as the Brella should also make a return. The Blaster should also come back, because there's a lot of high ground to stand on to rain those blaster shots down, and I think it's going to be a pretty darn close match. I honestly have no idea who's going to come away with this run on top here.
Both teams running very, very similar comps right now. You see Rapid Blaster versus Range Blaster. Splatter Shot, although one is using the Tentatech, but only one team is still running Ink Armor, and that team is Kyotetsuchinu. So we will see if that ends up being the difference here that they're looking for. Already an Ink Armor out. They're going to try to use this to put some pressure on, but it doesn't look like much is going to come of it.
Pretty crazy that we're seeing a Tech instead of the splatter shot, but it seems to be working here. A 2-down situation forced already onto Myotonia, now forced as well onto Kiona Tetsuchinu, and that's going to be Myotonia taking it over to the left-hand side alleyway. The Stingray is going to be the only thing stopping them, which it will at the 70 mark. They were saving it for just such an eventuality. The Stingray, one of the best counters to that left-hand side alley push because it is such a straight line and because there's really not anywhere for you to go when you take it that way. So with that knowledge in mind, I would not be surprised for one of these teams to take it into mid, take their chances with the sponge and the ramp, and as we see the Inkjet come out, again, it's just sort of a poking situation now. Both teams looking for their specials, looking for map control, and looking for that elusive 3 or more down situation to try and push the Rainmaker forward.
And speaking of map control here, it has all been in favor of Myotonia in this situation. They've done such a good job of holding things on, of holding on to things. That Rapid Blaster has been a major thorn. Every time they finally get something going, it's the Tentatek and the Rapid Blaster that are kind of shutting things down. This time the Tentatek does go down, and finally map control goes back the other way. They have to move this Rapid Blaster, though, because it's going to be able to continue to rain down shots if it so chooses from the top. Great way to get down to the bottom, actually. That's a very smart splash down here. Going to use that to get behind. Going to try to put a little bit more pressure here, if at all possible. Goes down again, and they lost the ink control that they did finally have. This is going to be another push coming out of Myotonia here in this situation. The Rapid Blaster comes there, but there's just too much pressure. The Rapid Blaster is going to go down. The Tentatek, you can see there, is back behind them. Although, oh no, that was just a little bit overzealous. They're going to be able to make the jump. All the pressure going down. They're pivoting to the QB sneak, as you call it, with a 4-down situation. This may be it.
Charging forward, there just has to duck out of the way of the bomb. They will go down as a couple of members there from Kiona Tetsuchinu are swarming around the pedestal. They kind of have to push all the way up to 7. They do get the full wipe, so that will stop that push entirely. But with half the game remaining, it's going to be a very, very difficult push to come back from. Definitely not impossible. In fact, we've seen today that pushes to 1 are not infallible, but pushes to 7 on this map usually make it to the end of the game just because of the nature of this map, how large it is, and how difficult it can be to get over by the pedestal, whether you take that left-hand path or not. So for now, we're seeing Chinu come out and try and push forward here with this range blaster, try and lock things down here, lock down this map control, and see if they can get something going here. Being aggressive is the best situation you can hope for here as they get double pressured. That's going to leave the Rainmaker pretty much unprotected. There's only one other member near them, and they will get pretty heavily attacked here. And before they can fire off one last shot, they are taken down by the Tentatek. So beautiful idea. The execution a little bit tougher to imagine, but they still do have some time to make this work.
Yeah, that Rapid Blaster was, or I'm sorry, the Range Blaster was position really could have taken double, because one of those was the sloshing machine, would have stopped this that's just happening right now. It's not over just yet, though. They're going to have to do something about this Brella. One's going to be jumping in, trying to bait out the Brella, and the Brella just going to stay here and continue to be the thorn. Doesn't get pushed off, finally goes off, but makes its presence felt in the process. And right now, phone a friend, someone gets Splash on the line here. Or, I'm sorry, Ninja on the line here. That's about the only team I can think of that would be able to make this push. We'll see what they're able to do here. This left side is going to be shut down by the Brella. They do get the Brella, though. That's the start of something, and it could be exactly what they need here. They have to find a way to get to this Stingray, though, before it gets off. You know that that sloshing machine is going to be very close and is going to wait on it as long as possible.
It's a very difficult balance to strike between how aggressively do we push forward and how much do we wait for a Rainmaker to just get 1 or 2 picks and try and push forward that way. It looks like they have a pretty clean avenue, but again, these hallways are so narrow, so there's nowhere for you to go. They will make it to the halfway mark, but that's going to be all that they can do. The Rainmaker will be popped here by Myotonia, although it's being pretty heavily contested here. They will finally do it, but there's only 20 seconds left for them to try and get this Rainmaker back. It'll be reset back to mid. Chinu will have one last opportunity as they force a 2-down situation to take this left-hand side alleyway again. They're just firing shots in a mid at this moment. No specials are at the ready for Myotonia, so they're going to have to rely on their base weapon and their sub alone, unless they can...
Sloshing machine is down. The sloshing machine is down. 2 are out of position right now. They're going to be able to make this...
ready, though.
Oh, no, the one fell down. No.
It's been popped. They have to be very careful. They're stuck. Oh.
That was, they had the opportunity right there. 2 of the members were down at the bottom. and they weren't going to be able to influence that push. They went up there. I'm not sure why the Rainmaker jumped down. That gave the Stingray just enough time to fire on a target that was going to be stuck in that position. What an unfortunate ending, but a 19 KA coming out there for the sloshing machine, 4 Stingrays, and I think every one of them stopped a push.
You know, it's such a double-sided coin because we have such a unique perspective as casters getting to look at the spectator mode. There was no way for Kyono to be able to know that they had dropped down like that. If they had just been a little bit more aggressive, they would have been able to have a great chance at getting past that 7 mark. But they allowed that sloshing machine time to build up the Stingray. They knew that the alleyway, if they decided to go that way, was going to be a very closed-off space. It was going to be a very tight hallway, and they knew the risks that they were taking by going in there. But they decided to go for it, ended up paying dearly for it in that Game 3, and that is going to be the end of their tournament life cycle. Meanwhile, Myotonia going to be making it all the way back into the winner's bracket for Grand Finals versus Story Overnight. This is a rematch of the winner's semifinals where Story Overnight 3-0'd Myotonia in that battle, so they are looking to get some revenge here. It's going to take a pretty drastic amount of revenge as they will have to win not just 1 best of 7, but 2 best of 7 battles if they can force a bracket reset. So Story Overnight, all they need to do is win 4 games, and they are the champions of this tournament. It's a lot easier of a battle for them.
Absolutely. Anytime you have to lose 8 games in order to lose the tournament, you know that you can just rest back. You can take a little time, adapt, kind of weather this storm. Right now, Myotonia has a lot of momentum coming through. We'll have to see what they learned, though. We, of course, did not get to see that Story Overnight versus Myotonia set the first time, so we don't really know what to expect here. But I don't know. Story Overnight's triple bucket comp that we saw a couple times, terrifying. We'll see if that is indeed the difference maker in this set.
Yeah, I mean, as a bucket main myself, it's thrilling to see that, and I can see why they stack themselves up with those weapons the way that they do. The Tri-Slosher is basically an alternative to the NZAP. It gives you the burst bombs that provide the instant detonation of free 60 damage if you can hit it direct onto your opponent. That allows you to get a single slosh kill after that, and of course, just if you get too far in deep, it can allow you to back up as well. And then, what can be said about the sloshing machine that hasn't already been said? It's just such a fantastic weapon at any range extreme. It can outduel anyone, even at close range, and the Stingray component itself is so nice to have, especially for tower control. Pretty much any map and mode that's very linear and straightforward will benefit from it, like Port Mackerel, like Manta Maria. So we'll have to see what goes on here. The finals is going to consist of Game 1 being Rainmaker on the Reef, Game 2 being Tower Control on Starfish Main Stage, a map that we've seen a whole bunch in this tournament. Game 3, Splat Zones on a Humpback Pump Track, a map that we haven't really seen all that much of in this tournament. And then we go to Game 4, the last guaranteed game will be Rainmaker on Muscle Forge Fitness. If necessary, we'll move on to Game 5, Tower Control on Snapper Canal. Game 6 would be Splat Zones on Port Mackerel, and Game 7 would be Rainmaker on Moray Towers. So quite the impressive map mode combination list for our grand finals.
Indeed, crazy stuff here, stuff that we haven't seen as much, like you said. So, I don't know, these are 2 teams that we haven't gotten to see play each other. They did play each other. We didn't see it on maps that we haven't seen a lot today. So, this is going to be an open book. We're going to be seeing this for the first time as you all at home are seeing it for the first time. We'll make one final announcement here, one last shout out. If you are just joining us right now, I know it's finally getting to be a decent time of day, even for our people on the Pacific Coast. This is Inkergalactic Cup 2, hosted by IkaSportsTV. We started with 46 teams from 11 different countries, down now to only 2 teams, only 1 country. Myotonia and Overnight Story. And man, what a tournament this has been. Very high-level play. We've seen a little bit of variety, but I gotta say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We've been saying Splashdown, we've been saying Stingray, we've been saying the common weapons, and why not? There's meta for a reason. There's a rumored update coming here in November. There will probably be one in December. These teams are trying to squeeze out the last bit that they can from these weapons before the nerfs come, if they do.
Both of these teams have had very different stories getting into this grand finals match. Myotonia starting out in round number 2, able to come away with a 3-1 victory over the team that is very difficult to say. Zugadan Zunbungun. able to come away with a victory over them. Then they moved on to take on 2000. Or actually to take on Perfect Logic, pardon me, and defeated them in a close set, 3-2 over Perfect Logic, ended what would have been a Cinderella run for them. Moving on, they 3-0'd 2000 in a fantastic set for them. I mean, that has to boost their confidence with 2000 being another very, very good team, and then getting knocked into losers by the team they're about to face, Story Overnight. So in the losers bracket, able to defeat Dark Horse 2-0, and then Kitai no Team 2-1, and of course, we just saw them win 2-1 as well. So that was over Kyoa no Tetochinu. So well done to them. On the other side of things, as we've mentioned multiple times here, Story Overnight, they've only dropped 3 games throughout the entire tournament. They have not dropped into the losers bracket, and they have the best. They only have to win 4 games in order to win the championship. So it's really looking good for them, but still, that ever-present danger of a bracket reset rests on their shoulders, and we know that Miyotoniya is looking for some revenge after they got swept.
And it was a sweep. I'm glad you mentioned that. That wasn't a close victory. That was a confident 3-0 that we have seen Story Overnight do so much over the course of this tournament. So we'll see now if they have learned anything, or if there even is anything to be learned. You know, so many times when we go over these and we commentate these, so much of it comes down to execution. And there's only so much you can say about that. Sometimes the shots hit, sometimes they don't. And I don't know. I will say I have one hope for this set. I hope that it does not come down to someone sitting on a Stingray for the last 30 seconds. If I could just have something different for that, for the last game of this set, one way or the other, that's my only wish for this set. Everything else I'll be happy with. I'll be happy with any weapon, any kills, any comebacks, any outcome of any sort, except that one. So my wish, go ahead, commentators curse now. Every game will end with Stingray, but you know, we'll take what we can get.
It definitely would not kill for some variety to be put into the ends of these matches. It's so nice when we get to see an overtime only for the designated Stingray user to back up, build it up, and then when they have it built, basically just end the game right then and there. But we do have the potential to see a lot of fantastic plays being made here. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of the same 8 to 10 weapons that we've seen from these Japanese squads. They really do put so much time and energy into deciding what the best weapons are in the meta, and they have spoken in terms of what they've brought to this tournament, and they've made it, of course, into these grand finals for a reason. So, of course, I'm excited to see more of the play that Story Overnight has to offer. You don't lose only 3 games in this stacked of a tournament by being a bad team. So they are looking to continue their hot streak so far. Miyotoniya with a lot to prove here, having been knocked into losers by this same team. But they've had a couple of fantastic performances in the losers bracket that give me confidence that they will be able to put up a nice fight against this very strong Story Overnight team. Either way, it's going to be a victory for Japan. They have taken on this 11-country tournament and have been able to emerge the victor. All top 8 teams were from Japan, as we mentioned, so a really strong performance coming out from them, but you have to give credit to every team that entered in today and gave it a shot. So hopefully we'll see all of these teams for a long time to come in the future, and I just want to thank all of them for participating today.
Absolutely. And thanks again. We'll throw this out here probably after the... Thanks again to the competitors. Thanks again to all so many people did work on this behind the scenes. I'll try to name some. I know I won't name all of them, and I apologize for that in advance. But of course, Chiriyuki, BTM, then on the translation staff, we had Honey Cream Milk, Series C. I know Latias put in a lot of work as well, and there are so many people that do so much to put these tournaments on from all across the world. Language barriers be darned. We will make these tournaments happen, and thank you again for having Zach and I on the cast. It's always a joy, always a pleasure, and I promise if we do this enough, we will eventually get good enough at saying these Japanese team names so we won't have to stumble over them as we cast.
Yep. It's going to be a difficult push, but hopefully we'll see these Japanese teams enough consistently where we'll be like, okay, you know, this is how you pronounce their name. We've seen it before, and now we're prepared to go into this tournament. So it's nice getting to see all of these teams that are fresh faces to us. And again, I can't echo enough the sentiments that Nine gave. Thank you so much to everybody that's been on the staff for IkaSportsTV. They've done a phenomenal job going through any sort of technical difficulties and making this tournament as good as it can possibly be. With the amount of teams in this tournament and the caliber of teams that we had, it's pretty amazing that the tournament has only so far lasted 5 hours. It's going to end up being, I think, about 5.5 total. So I think that for that amount of time, it's not bad at all. Really, really well done to people like Ladias, Cheery, the translation staff, all of the captains for working with everybody, and then, of course, everyone in the Twitch stream that came by to check it out. So, again, do not forget, you can always go back and rewatch matches through the VOD on the IkaSportsTV Twitch channel. If you want to, search for a specific game or a specific set, you can definitely do that, whether to improve your own play or just to get some ideas on what to run in your next tournament. So, well done to the 2 teams that have made it here so far, and also to the teams that just generally participated in this tournament. I hope to see you all in future tournaments.
Hey, Zach, I've got one more pun for you here.
Oh gosh.
So this one has a little bit of setup. Are you ready for this?
No, but I'll hear it anyway.
All right. So what do you call an epic tale that happens when you wake up at 3 a.m. and go until morning? Story overnight.
Let it end. I hope you guys realize I have to cast an entire second tournament with this guy. So this is not the end.
And many more. You have
many more. So this is only the beginning of my suffering. I hope y'all in the Twitch chat are enjoying this. You all have the option of muting the stream sound and avoiding any potential puns, but I have to take the full brunt of the blast. So martyr me if you'd like, but thank you, Nine, for that crazy pun.
Wonderful stuff. I think it is the morning. It's the amount of coffee. It's the amount of coffee that I have consumed at this point. After this, I'm going to. I don't know what. Before we start at the Squidboard series, I'm going to run down the street, grab a bunch of food, come back, and then drink more coffee. That is my plan for the rest of the day.
Yes, I am starving. I ate a total of 1 meal yesterday. So I am looking for a nice hearty lunch. I'm looking for some water for sure. I need to get my voice back up to par again for our Squidboards tournament this afternoon, which should be very fun. It is an incredibly stacked tournament as well. There's a ton of teams entering that tournament, so it's going to be
70 plus, right?
It's ridiculous. It's honestly astounding. I can't thank Squidboards enough for being a conglomerate and a combination of so many talented teams that are going to be participating in this tournament. I cannot wait to see who emerges on top, and by the same token, I cannot wait to see who comes out on top of this tournament. It looks like we are finally getting into the lobby here, starting out with Rainmaker on the Reef between these very two talented teams. Story overnight, and it is going to be their opponent, Miotonia.
Absolutely, and what a fun set this should be. 2 top teams in a tournament like this. Don't let tournament entry numbers fool you here. The level of play that we get in these tournaments very often is just some of the highest level play that you will see. And that's not me just, cooling up to the Japanese players here because it's popular. It really is. If you watch it, top American teams. Olive didn't even make top 8 at this tournament. Olive is one of the best Western teams. That should show you the level of play that is present at this tournament. Take notes, everybody. Watch this. Watch the VODs. This is some high-level Splatoon brought to you by IkaSportsTV. Let's get into it here. Please follow the stream here. Follow IkaSportsTV if you like this kind of stuff. It's the support of everyday viewers that makes stuff like this possible, that gives the TOs the inspiration to continue doing it because they love it and they want you to love it as well. So we're going to get into this here. Please join us here for the final ride, starting off with one of the most fun map and mode combinations in the game.
Yeah, this is essentially the new Black Belly Rainmaker in that it can end so quickly. Both teams' goal is to take the Rainmaker over to the far left or right-hand side alleyway and push it all the way forward into the pedestal. This is a pretty unique map in that a push to 25 or 20 on this map is not safe. it's pretty
Nope.
easy to make it to that portion. There's not really any obstacles you face in that alleyway unless somebody's sitting there with a Stingray. There's only a car waiting to give the team that's protecting that pedestal any cover. So I would say a safe point is a knockout, and there it is, the triple bucket comp. 2 sloshing machine, 1 tri-slosher, and 1 umbrella, splat-brella to go with it. On the opposite side of things, they will have a sloshing machine and umbrella of their own to complement that, a rapid blaster, and a Tentatech as opposed to a splatter shot.
And we've seen the Tentatech come out here from Yamine this entire time. The Tentatech fallen out of favor after being one of the most popular weapons in the early meta of the game. It has fallen out of favor here. We've been seeing it a lot, though, very situationally in order to use the ink jets. And on here with this uneven territory, it gives you artificial movement. You don't even have to use the hard jukes because the territory, the terrain, the geography takes advantage of that for you. But like you said, the triple bucket comp, and we've said this earlier, I'll say it again, this one right here that we've seen is using a lot of sub power-up, or I'm sorry, special power-up. It's just the build that's going. The other one used more swim speed up. This is becoming a very common theme that we're seeing here. Stack 2 of them and stack 1 solely for Stingray.
3 down situation forced there by Miotonia, and they are going to pick up the Rainmaker just for a little bit and lose it there. On the opposite side of things, a Stingray coming out on the side of Story Overnight. That's going to find, I believe, the Tentatech. They're going to look for the Rainmaker as well, who gets backed into a corner, and they can't really do anything about that. That's the worst place you can end up with the Rainmaker, is over near either an enclosed area like that with 2 walls next to you or a corner, because there is no escaping once you get caught in that blast. We see one member there of Miotonia going down, looking for another kill. There is the sloshing machine for Story Overnight. They will not find it. So far, it's been a very back-and-forth game. Miotonia definitely looking for revenge. They do not want a repeat of their winner's semifinal set.
Looking very good right now, but right now Miotonia's got to be very careful. You could kind of sense there that the map was starting to slip away. They lost the bridge. A couple of them went down at the wrong time. A trade there might put this one to end. It does look like the pressure is pretty well gone, though there is still one up there. It's the Tri-Slosher trying to put pressure on. We're going to see a runaway. This is more or less a glorified punt. Not going to be able to get the kill here on the Tri-Slosher either. A Stingray is going to come out to kind of slow the pressure down. There was a lot of momentum building up on that side, but 43, like you said, hardly a lead worth sitting on.
Yeah, and that has to feel pretty bad. You work pretty hard to get up to a number like that, and knowing that it can go away in an instant is such... it can be such a disheartening feature, but you really have to have the mental fortitude of saying, okay, we have plenty of time. About half the game is remaining here. What can we do in order to push this forward? So Miotonia really letting the Rainmaker sit there for a little bit. They have the Brella sitting over by there. On the opposite side of things for Story Overnight, Melty Kiss making sure that that does not get popped. The Stingray also for Story Overnight coming out. That's going to end up getting a kill. But the Stingray counter is at the ready here for Miotonia as well. So we're going to be seeing a laser show still as the ink cloud comes up from the ink storm as well. Meltic is going to die with that Rainmaker in tow. That's the Tri-Slosher out of the equation. And 2 of the 3 buckets are down here for Story Overnight. So there is a chance for Miotonia here in these last 2 minutes to make it up over to those ramps. I think that's where they are favoring their push here. They don't want to go into that left-hand side alleyway. And why would you? If the Stingray is ever present, it can lock you into that alleyway, and you will be a sitting duck at that point.
And that was another unfortunate situation. They had the Rainmaker, but the sloshing, both of those, gets the kill on the Rainmaker, and then just snipes the inkjet out of the sky before it could do anything. And what makes this all the more frustrating is whenever they go down left, which is what they're favoring right now, they know that they're going to have to deal with a long, narrow straightaway. And what have we said in every single match in this entire day? Long, narrow straightaways are beloved by Stingrays. Wow, that rhymed. I didn't even mean it to. But the point is, it's very difficult to get that push. But they finally created an opening for themselves that's 3 down, and it looks like they might be able to go over this way, where it's a little bit more open. But Meltic is coming in with the Tri-Slosher. All this talk of the sloshing machine, and look what the hero is.
Yeah, not only that, but the Stingray just absolutely stopping any potential push up that ramp. Melty Kiss being a big facilitator of that on the Tri-Slosher. Now just going to go over to this left-hand side and try and keep it away from the members of Miotonia for as long as possible here. The longer they have control of the Rainmaker, the longer Miotonia does not get to control the Rainmaker. So they likely might just sit on all 30 remaining seconds, but it looks like they are pushing forward here into this alleyway. They're facing heavy resistance. They do have a path. They're going to extend their lead and get the knockout. So they say, we don't need your full time. We want the KO. So they will take Game 1. Congratulations to Story Overnight on a never say die attitude. They're not content with the lead gained. They want the full KO. And with their 3-bucket patented comp, they will take Game 1 of this best of 7.
Wow. Incredible stuff there. And 15 KA there. Melty Kiss, I want to say that Melty Kiss was the savior. Then Melty Kiss was the one that also picked up the Rainmaker. So not only the savior of the game, but also the exterminator of the other team, the judge, the jury, and the executioner in that situation. And what a big statement, saying, okay, we took your best punch. Not only will we take it, we'll give it right back and hit the knockout blow right on your chin. Tower control Starfish main stage now, and I would not want to go up against 3 buckets on here. All this verticality is going to make it so difficult to get anything started. And of course, Stingray, we've said so much about Stingray. These are long, narrow paths. You know exactly where they're going.
Let's do a countdown real quick here at the request of BTM. I'm currently at 72, 71, 70.
I'm at
69.
74, 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63.
Oh, I am way ahead
52,
here, so I will pause.
60, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54.
All right, so I think we're a little bit more in line here, so we should be good going forward for Tower Control Starfish main stage. Definitely don't want to be ahead going forward here in this grand final set, but a fantastic performance by Story Overnight. Doesn't change the fact that they got the sweep on Miotonia. Miotonia is still looking for that revenge. They're not going to change their weapon comp up very much, but Miotonia will switch over to a Forge Splattershot Pro. Of course, that build that we have been seeing with the special power up and the object shredder, so they're going to be looking to take out that the opposition in mid here very, very quickly. It is going to be tower control, so again, the tower is going to go on that winding path. There's not all that much room for it to cover, so you can see all 3 of the checkpoints are very, very close to each other. You can get to them very, very easily on this map.
Absolutely. And you know, what a world we live in. Only shooter on the entire map is a Forge Splattershot Pro. No splatter shots there, no 52 gals, no end zaps, nothing along those lines. All there is the Forge Pro. Everything else does not fall into the shooter category. And Sloshing Machine is a really good weapon. Let me just throw that in. It's the Sloshing Machines combined for, I think, every kill that occurred on the map in that situation. Maybe the Blaster got 1, but making their presence felt. Here comes the Ink Armor. The pressure is going to be big right now, although the Stingray is going to diffuse some of that tension before the push can get started in too big of a manner.
Pretty crazy to think about how we've seen so many splatter shots and 10 attacks in this tournament, and this game does not feature any of them. It's all about the sloshing machines, the buckets in general, and the splat umbrellas that can lay down those ink storms a thick and a heavy. So the bubbles also coming out from the Forge Splatter Shot. That's going to give them even more map control and protect the tower for a little bit. They do have the lead at their disposal, so they're looking to tie this set up at 1. But we're also seeing just a flank around to make sure nobody is behind them, and it looks like somebody is. The umbrella keeps shooting up there, and there is someone raining ink down. They're going to jump down to try and get on the tower. The Stingray has also been built up as well, as Melty Kiss is going to get a kill there. Looking to fire off this ink storm, they will. And it looks like Miotonia does get a decent push up to 46, but again, 46 not super safe. They're going to have to do a little bit better than that. It's a bit easier on this map than it is on the Reef to get a decent push, but you still have to work pretty hard.
This is the best Miotonia's look, though, to be fair. They're doing a great job controlling things, controlling the map. This has not been a battle of paint control. This has been a battle of kills. And right now, this Rapid Blaster combined with the Forge Pro is doing a great job of keeping people away. That is a big range boost. The Slosh Machine has some range, but it's not quite as effective as these other weapons at maintaining pressure from range. And the bubbles, I love the bubbles. Those are there for one reason only. That's to put pressure and help with the pushes. This is going to be the end of another push here as Melty Kiss wheels back behind and gets another kill. That Tri-Slosher still has plenty of range, everybody. Don't doubt it.
And the Tri-Slosher, again, being the designated person to watch over that flank. The second you get complacent on the flank like that is when everything goes away. You start getting those 2 or 3 down situations on your own team, and that's where the enemy can gain a lot of ground. So Meltykiss here really trying to wait for anyone to come out from spawn. They will survive due to the ink armor from that Stingray, but they will fall as they got a bit distracted by the Stingray, didn't notice the Forge there, and the Forge was able to melt them down pretty easily. But Story Overnight pushing forward here again, but the Bubbles advancing on the tower. Beautiful job. They're getting multiple kills. They will come away with a double kill on both sloshing machines. Those are 2 of the best weapons to eliminate when they're pushing the tower like that, and that'll be a fantastic stop and give them another chance here for Miltonia to push this tower even farther forward past the 46 mark, because again, that's not assuredly safe.
No, not assuredly safe at all. And I want to talk a little bit about the bubble blower and just how it's a shame that only a couple weapons have it right now. Haven't gotten that much time to explore it. And that its more common weapon, the Forge, shares a main weapon with the regular Splattershot Pro, which has seen a lot more play recently. I really feel like the bubble blower is an underrated special, and as we learn more about it, it'll get stronger. Here it is again. Look, it's sectioning off that entire area.
And not only as we learn more about it, but as more weapons start to get it, it's only on a very small number of weapons at the present time. So we are waiting on more weapons to be released that have the bubble blower as its special. So I'll be excited to see what weapons those are and whether they make their way into the meta here, because I agree, when used correctly, the bubble blower can be such a huge asset in either playing an offensive or defensive role. It can be multifaceted in that regard. So we're seeing the bubbles come out again. They're going to be placed directly onto the tower. And the umbrella is going to try and challenge the tower right now, but the bubbles are an ever-present feeling, and that will take away the game. So beautiful performance there. The bubbles helping to facilitate that final push around the bend, and Miltonia going to tie this set up at 1 with a fantastic win on Starfish main stage.
And those bubbles started that push, and then they finished that push. It's incredible just how versatile they are, how good of a job they do. 6 bubble blowers coming out there from your mind. That was the T-Tech player that we'd seen so much, all that close movement, maybe just figuring out, all right, maybe it's only for this map and mode, but I have been getting boxed out, having to deal with all of that up-close and personal action that those Tri-Sloshers have been doing. I need a little bit more range. I need something that can fix this box out situation that we've been getting in, not being able to get in, and it worked right there. Those bubbles so strong.
Well, if you're looking for a map where it's not that easy to get boxed in, then Humpback Pump Track might be for you. A map with very few obstacles, as the middle portion of the map is very open. There's a large outer ring that basically allows you to flank from anywhere, so this is definitely a map where you want to be looking over your shoulders, and I see the change in weapon compositions reflecting that. We now see both teams offering a splatter shot. The sloshing machine, they're going to have 2 mains of swim speed and a special charge, so they're going to be looking to get into the action as quickly as possible and also build up that Stingray as quickly as possible. Both teams fighting over the zone here. It is just going to be a 1-zone map again. Neither team's really bringing anything too long range. The Rapid Blaster is all I really see, so they're not going to be using that outer lip to try and put pressure on the zone unless that Rapid Blaster does get their Splat Bomb launcher up. So instead, it'll be more close quarters aggressive action here. And so far, it's been Story Overnight that's been able to get into the zone first. Again, this Tri-Slosher staying back, smartly trying to build up their ink armor, and they'll jump back. Nice move there. They keep their ink armor, going to wait for their teammates to respond, and then they'll have a big push coming back as Miltonia has done a fantastic job of reclaiming this zone.
And it's all about being able to combine your specials to make it in. You see one slosh machine already worked its way through. They're trying to put some pressure here. Wow, I cannot believe they both survived that interaction there at the bottom of the screen. I thought for sure the Rapid Blaster there from Miltonia was going to pick up at least 1 kill, but instead, Meltykiss has pushed this N-Zap all the way back here, getting pincered there, going to jump all the way back, being inactive here, going to try to rally the troops and get something to go there, but what a great job there. So much of that was facilitated by that jump out you saw there with the ink armor in place and letting the teammates come back. Excellent work.
So now we have a couple members holding onto their specials for Story Overnight. We see the splashdown now coming out. It's not going to get any kills, and in fact, they'll go down right after it. So beautiful job being done here by Miltonia to lock this down. Azriel and Meltykiss just sitting fervently on the zone, trying to keep it painted so that they can't give them a penalty, and it works. Story Overnight able to keep Miltonia at bay here, and that'll allow them to continue pushing without having to go through a penalty. They will lose their Tri-Slosher in the process, but they get 2 down. That's a pick I'm sure they would love to have, Ezreal just raining this fire down with the Splatbrella onto the zone. They lose control over it. Will they get a penalty? They're stuck at 5, at least for the moment. The Inkstorm isn't built up yet either. It's going to be close as the Inkstorm's coming out from Miltonia. It rains down on the zone. They're stuck at 2. The Inkstorm's going to come out again as well, and I'm not sure it'll be enough from either team. That's 3 down for Story Overnight, so this game will continue.
Oh, that was a solid 20 seconds of just contest back and forth. Dig here, dig there, jump in, special here, special there. Great call on all of that, by the way. That was a lot of action to keep track of. Now it's going back the other way. This penalty has already been shooed through. Mytonia knows that the worst is behind them here. There's going to be some pressure coming here from the left. Now the specials are all going to start to rain in. Azriel already gets one. The Ink Armor's down. The Stingray's down. The zone goes back the other way. Now that big penalty comes along here. And Mytonia going to trade there. You saw that turn. Maybe thought that he already had the kill there. And what an incredible... I'm still reeling over what happened about 30 seconds ago. That was one of the most intense fights over the zone that I've seen.
Yeah, both teams just allocating as many resources as they possibly could. Both team members really just having to use their main weapon to splash ink onto the zone as much as they could, as they didn't have their specials built up. And then we saw one ink storm followed by another ink storm, and somehow they were able to hold on to it up to the 2 mark before they lost control. But now, speaking of this penalty here, Miotonia's actually gotten pretty close in mitigating it, getting rid of it. They lose control with 7 penalty markers still to go, which is not bad considering what they were at. Now their penalty marker rests at 26. The Ink Armor is going to come out as well with this Enzap here, who's trying to contest the Tri-Slusher, and the Tri-Slusher apparently being the better of the Ink Armor weapons as they'll win out in that duel. They have the Ink Armors ready as well, but the Brella has gone down, and now that they've come back, the Sloshing Machine has gone down, so they used it. It's unfortunately not going to save the life of the Sloshing Machine, and they can work through their penalty here. Still time for them to get a knockout, and it's going to take one more team fight here from Miltonia to try and contest this zone.
A great pick there at the bottom of the screen. I think yes, oh my goodness. The Rapid Blaster got one and then got a point-blank direct to get that in the middle of the bomb rush there. That was exactly what they needed, and a lot of times these comebacks are started by great individual plays. That's what they're looking for. This Ink Storm very, very close to being out right now. Going to just block that, get it out of the way, say, no chicken, I have Umbrella. This is getting very close here. You see now, there it goes. Every time you hear that little shriek, you know that the Ink Armor, that the Ink Cloud is there. The Ink Armor also up now. A kill goes down there. I think that might have been the Sprinkler. Another one goes down. A third one goes down. This might be the end of it. I don't know if they have anybody near the zone that can test it. It's just Melticus. Melticus has to take 1 or 2 out, do something. Melticus gets 1. Melticus gets 2. Is Melticus going to be able to get to the zone in time? No, not enough. Melticus did such a great job getting 2 in a situation where they were boxed in. But what can you say about the triple? 2 coming out of that Ink Storm. That's where 2 of the kills came, and then getting the kill on the Stingray that was all the way backed up there. Incredible stuff there. Wow, only 9 kills, but 3 of the most important kills in that entire game.
What an astounding comeback. We thought that game was going to be over in favor of Story Overnight. I cannot believe they had it down to 5. We're stopped for a bit, got it down to 2, then we're given a massive penalty, and it took just the Herculean effort of that Splatbrella to make sure that they could secure the zone. So Miltonia going to gain the lead in this set 2-1. I'm sure Story Overnight did not expect or want that. This is still a best of 7, so it's going to require 2 more wins for them to force a bracket reset. But Story Overnight was hoping that they could have the lead right now, and they would be only 2 games away from the championship. Now they're a little bit more uncertain. It's Rainmaker on Muscle Forge Fitness now, which could go very, very quickly. Again, this is sort of like a Flounder Heights map where you can jump down from that middle pedestal and get a free 30 or 40 points. The most common Rainmaker push I see on this map is all the way over to the right-hand side where that ledge is, but there's also the ever-present factor of that left-hand side ink rail. If you can successfully clear it, it'll take you to around the 20 to 15 mark. So if they ever get a full 3 or 4 man wipe, that's one avenue that they have to explore.
Absolutely. When I play solo queue and I start this map off, I always make sure to paint it. You know, 1 little shot, that's all it takes to paint it, but you can't let your opponent have that push early on in the game, because this is another one of those maps where it's so much easier to play defense than offense.
Again, the comps that we've been seeing making a return here, not too much of a surprise. We see Miltonia going back to that Rapid Blaster and 10 attack composition for this map. Story Overnight hanging with their 3 slosher comp, going with the 2 sloshing machine and the 1 tri-slosher. 1 Stingray at the ready here is going to be used, the other one now being activated, so layering them back and back. We see Melticus going down there to some well-placed shots from the Tenatech, who's now going to pop the Inkjet and make sure nobody can get over on the side of Story Overnight to that Rainmaker. Going to get 1 kill. Nobody else really over there. Going to try and find somebody in mid, but that shot goes a little bit high. Still a fantastic job of defending the Rainmaker as map control still sits pretty back and forth here as we see the dueling Inkstorms come out at effectively the same time. I think they're building them up at about the same rate.
I think so. And isn't that just such a great allegory for this in general? For these two teams in general that have just gone back and 2 Inkstorms to be activated at the exact same spot at the exact same time. Great stuff. I think we're going to see a little Brella on Brella action over here too. It looks like the Brella is going to go back up to the middle, and the Brella is going to come behind here as well. And the sloshing machine comes in and gets some help. Asriel gets credit for that. More map control going back here in the favor of Story Overnight. And this might be the push that they've been looking for. This Tenatech has to be very careful here and is not careful enough. Gets taken out. I don't know if that Stingray is going to be enough. Up to 29, that's going to get the stop. But as long as Melticus is back there, you know that that pressure is going to stay on. See the jumps, they're probably going to be coming in any second now. Got to be careful here. I would almost grab this and run it away as fast as possible. Looks like the jump is going to go away. I think they've cleared the area. Pretty solid defense. 29 is starting to get into that danger zone, however.
Yeah, this is the map where once you get pretty far up that ramp, it can be pretty devastating to try and make a comeback if you're the losing team in that scenario. But it looks like they've painted a good portion of this ramp. The Inkstorm also coming out. They have to watch out for the chicken, which gets blocked by the umbrella. That's the lead. Can they knock it out? And that will do it. Beautiful knockout. Unbelievable performance, and you can see just how green this map is. So after a pretty good push to 29, we see instead the counter once again as Nia is able to clean up this victory and go up 3-1 over Story Overnight. This is not what they expected after sweeping through them in the winter semis.
And Yamine did such a great job there. You saw at the, I guess that would have been the left side of all that action that was going on. You understand now why they went with the T-Tech. I believe that it was 2 kills that came in as a result of that Inkjet. And 1 more, I mean, it was 2 kills, but it was also a huge distraction that forced people to look the other way. Remember, those sloshing machines can arc up the shots and make stops from pretty much anywhere on the map, but they can't do that if they've been taken down. And right now, what it looks like to me is that the momentum of the matches themselves, every time a counter push gets made, it always seems like there just isn't enough control on the part of Story Overnight. I think that Story Overnight might be served. I don't want to tell them to switch off their main comp yet. They've gotten this far with it. They have a full set to play with here. But it does look like they're starting to lose the grip on the center of the map. And whenever it goes the other way, these pushes have been absolutely monstrous.
These are 2 teams where if you give them an inch, they will take a mile instead. So you have to be incredibly diligent in stopping any potential pushes, even if they're only at the 90 or 80 mark, because those are the ones that can escalate and be very, very potent. We see the sloshing machine on the side of, I believe, Nia going with a comeback build along with a couple of mains of special power-ups. So they are really going to be relying on this Stingray on this map, even though it's not very linear. There's a lot of map to cover on Snapper Canal, and of course the Tri-Slosher can be very good here because there's a lot of flanking potential. Actually gets a kill with the stray burst bomb. I don't know if they even saw them, but that was a perfect opportunity there. That's going to help force a 2-down situation as Melticus is doing a very good job of layering this fire onto Nia, but they end up getting the kill. The tower's still pushing in favor of Story Overnight. They will jump on the tower here, Nia will, to try and get something going, but it's an early lead for them. Story Overnight trying to still find their footing under them after that first game. They really haven't been able to do too much.
No, they haven't. You mind here once again on this pro, putting a lot of pressure there and a lot of nice vantage points that makes for a great time for this weapon. I can barely hear the game audio right now. All I hear is the wail of the Stingray. And Melticus up here trying to put some pressure here. I understand it. Actually gets one jumping down. I don't think that person Melticus was there. They have to move Melticus here. Okay, Melticus finally going down. I thought might be able to get a second one there, but really good position there on top. They do lose the lead, however, so I suppose Melticus' job was done.
Yeah, Meltykiss playing a big distraction role, using their sub-weapon, the Burst Bomb, just about as much as they've been using the main Tri-Slosher actual sloshes, which they've gotten a couple of kills just by chucking a Burst Bomb at somebody. And again, if you hit them with a direct, that's going to do 60 damage, so that only takes one slosh after that in order to get a kill. So we see the tower now reverting in the opposite direction. Miltonia really not facing much opposition as they are in a good position to take this lead back, and they will. So getting all the way up into the 60s and making it to that second checkpoint here. I'm not sure what the members of Story Overnight are doing. We see the sloshing machine hanging out, waiting for that Stingray to come up, and it is up now, which it'll get fired and actually take out the other sloshing machine. The Splat Bomb's coming out as well to just maintain some map control here for Miltonia, and they get it to 48, which again is not a super safe push, but for now, along with that double kill from the Rapid Blaster, they will take what they can get.
Absolutely, and every time one of these kills goes down, you know it's just another opportunity and get a little bit more of this left side. You have to hold it if you're going to win. Even if not every is going the distance. Great shot there. Even if not every push is going the distance, as long as you hold on to that left side, you can at least control the flow of the game. We talked about that some. If you control the left side, the opponent has to come to you. They have to play defense. And a lot of this map is set up to where you can jump down on your right side, aka the opponent's left. If the opponent has control over left, that no longer becomes an option for you.
Meltykiss once again not getting an opportunity to pop that ink armor. That's going to be pretty detrimental to their team, as I'm sure Story Overnight would have loved to have had that benefit here. Nice job so far by the members of Miltonia to try and lock down this map here with only a minute and 45 seconds about left to go here. Asriel going to be the one to hop on the tower and just make sure they have something starting here, but they will fall just about as quickly as they begin that push here. They're going to, I believe, die to the Forge Splattershot Pro there, and now we're seeing the Brella versus Sloshing Machine duel here. They will get rid of the actual shield there, so that's a nice kill, but now they have to duck out of the way of the Stingray, which is stopping that tower from making any forward progress on the side of Story Overnight. We're going to see now the Sloshing Machine get back up on the tower. They've made it all the way to that second checkpoint here, and they have the Stingray at the ready, so they need somebody to come back and get on the tower so that this Sloshing Machine can use their special weapon and lock this tower down. The lead is taken. Two members are down, but they really are hoping for a knockout.
Oh, that was a huge kill, and two members had chances to stop that tower. We're not able to do so. This is going to walk all the way. Point 3. The pressure continues to go. Another one goes down. Everyone just seems to be going down at this party. And just now at 2, not enough. They're not going to be able to make it. Yamine once again playing defense. And we saw this earlier. We saw a push that got all the way to...
No!
Wrong kind of bath to be taking with bubbles, my friend.
Using the bubbles, only getting one off. I think one actually fell in the water there, but only getting one successfully off. The tower moving without them, and they will fall into a watery grave due to that. Only 20 seconds left to go here. The only special at the ready, there's 2 specials now, 3 at the ready, is those Stingrays and those Inkstorms that are going to be coming out. The Inkstorms onto the tower, and the Stingray putting on a laser light show as we enter the final few seconds of the game. 3 down, or 3 members alive on each side here as Meltykiss is trying to find a safe spot to try and approach this tower and keep anyone from getting it, and they will succeed in that mission. Story Overnight able to pull off a fantastic push all the way up to 2, not giving up after that initial 48 push by Miltonia, and this game, this set rather, will at least require a game 6 as we move forward.
That time you really saw the power that could come out from double. Lots of kills there. Meltykiss is going to be on top with KA. Those 5 ink armors playing a big part in that. But the mobility that Meltykiss had there, it seemed like Meltykiss was moving all about the map the entire time. We talked early about the hindrance that Meltykiss was being in that early push. It wasn't the one that got the zone, but it did set the tone for the entire match, which is that Meltykiss was going to be a thorn in the side of Miltonia for the entire duration.
Splat zones on poor Mackerel again. This is where the laser light show comes into full effect here. We've seen several teams bring out the double sloshing machine comp, not just the one we've been seeing this entire tournament from Story Overnight. So I would not be surprised to see Miltonia shift over to that same strategy. The triple bucket comp can really work wonders here, especially because in the Splatoon 2 iteration of this map, it's a lot easier to get onto high ground. The sponges give you a lot more of an opportunity to just rain that fire down onto the enemy players. So with the 3 sloshing machine, or the 3 sloshing machine and tri-sloshers coming out from Story Overnight, I think they should have a good chance to make this one successful, especially if those sloshing machines know when to back off and use their special weapons, because it can be so difficult to evade on a map that's in such close quarters, especially in the middle portion of this map where the zone is.
Absolutely. We'll see if enough pressure is able to put on these sloshing machines to hit some up close and personal shots. Very interested in seeing. It's going to be Meltykiss switching over to a shooter, and it's actually, the rules have completely switched here. This time it's Myotonia that has the double slosher comp. Wow!
Yeah, so both teams electing to bring in the double sloshing machine comp with a Splatbrella and a splatter shot. So literally the exact same weapon comps coming out from these two teams. They both know the strategies that they prefer on this map and mode combination, and now it's all down to execution. It's literally who can make the best plays and who is able to defend that zone the best. So Meltykiss jumping back and immediately getting back into the action here on that splatter shot. The Inkstorm coming out on the side of Myotonia as they're trying to lock down the zone. But for now, Story Overnight able to take that lead back and push up. Again, this is a map where you really don't want to get locked into those 2 back hallways, because it can be so difficult to move out of your spawn, even if you have a little bit of map control here. At that point, it's really down to just building up a Stingray and see if you can get some kills with it. We see there a nice kill by the sloshing machine of Story Overnight, and that's exactly all you have to do, is keep getting those picks, keep pushing the enemy team forward, and if they can do that, Story Overnight is in a great position to force a Game 7.
Absolutely. Such a purple map here. You're going to see as many of these Stingrays as they can possibly fire off. So much pressure coming in. Asriel sitting here, going to wait on this rain cloud. Going to have to quick, though. Opts not to do it just yet, and gets back around there. No real punishment there, and the zone still stays in the hands, and that rain cloud is still sitting up there. You can see on the Brella. Asriel going to wait on that for as long as possible.
Yeah, Meltykiss went down there, unfortunately. There's both Stingrays available for Myotonia, so I'll be interested to see when they use them. One of them coming out here, focusing on the left-hand side of the zone. The other one going to be also focusing on that side, layering them in. They're both focusing the same target, who will get absolutely melted. What can you do when you're stuck on a tarp? There's no room to swim away, and 2 Stingrays are coming right for you. So that'll be a beautiful retake of the zone by Myotonia. They'll easily get rid of their small penalty, and now they can start to work toward that 12 mark, which is what they need in order to retake the lead. Plenty of time for them left to do it. Both teams with 2 specials at the ready, including a splashdown and the Inkstorm coming out from their umbrella. Specials being built up very quickly here, it's important to note.
Nope, can't jump away that fast. And I'm glad that you mentioned how fast these specials build up. This is a big, long map with a lot of turf and a lot of points to build it up with. Even if you don't run any special charging. We see Meltykiss being pushed away by that chicken. We see it so often. Meltykiss just going to wait right here, try to shark a little bit. Might have to do some moving there, waiting again. Contented to sit right here, and is going to get punished for that. What? That's the fastest jump I've ever seen in my life.
Are they running quick super jump or what? I'm not sure how they managed that, but they were targeted immediately by 2 Stingrays, and they somehow were able to get away from it. So Meltykiss able to sustain whatever they built up on their special. A penalty was given over to Myotonia, but they have the zone back, and they can start to work through it. It's not all that large of a penalty. Again, the chickens hanging out over by the zone as well, and this Umbrella, again, just trying to farm this Inkstorm. That's really what the main weapon is about, not only getting the kills, but just building up that Inkstorm that can help lock down this one zone map. On the other side of things, though, Story Overnight doing a fantastic job of making their original plan come to fruition, which is to get the zone and push up very, very heavily against Myotonia. Meltykiss is over there by the sponge, Asriel's on top of high ground, and they can basically sit and play defensively, almost like a gargoyle, waiting for anybody to come too close to their monastery or to their church. So I'm seeing here a couple of kills here coming out as well from Myotonia, so it may not be over for them as we see the penalty tick down and we've entered single digits.
Not going to be enough. Well, I say that. Okay, no, another one. This will not be a repeat of the game in this set. I thought I saw it go down to 2 seconds. I saw it stall, and I thought, no way, not again. This is not about to happen again. And apparently, Story Overnight had the exact same thought there. The double tri-slosher comp coming in very big for them. But you just see right there, the KAs tell the story. The top KA that came out of Myotonia was the lowest one for Story Overnight. So, it's just kills in that situation. You said at the beginning of the game, execution. It's all about execution. One team executed better. But now we finish on Rainmaker. Hallelujah. Moray Towers. This is really, really fun. I'm so glad this is our Game 7.
Yeah, I'm first of all so thrilled that we've made it to a Game 7 here, and Rainmaker Moray Towers, just Rainmaker in general, is such a thrilling mode to have for game number 7 because it's so fast-paced, it's so quick. One instant decision can immediately turn the tide of a game, so I'll be super excited to see how these teams allocate their weapons this time around. I would not be surprised if Mutania switched off of their double slosher comp, as it did not seem to benefit them with the sloshing machine being beaten out here by Story Overnight's build. I'm sure Story Overnight, since they're running that on pretty much every map and mode, they have a little bit more experience with it and can dominate that pace of play if that's what Mutania decides to do. I think they just need to stick to what they know, play some sort of blaster, play a splatter shot, play things that you know you can beat them in, especially that Splatbrella. If the Splatbrella can do what they did earlier on for Mutania, this should be a win and a bracket reset for them. But if not, if they let the sloshing machines get under their skin and get those picks, then Story Overnight will prove that that sweep in the winter semifinals was not a fluke and that they deserve to be tournament champions for the Inkergalactic Cup 2.
Absolutely. And if we do get to a second set, what an upset that would be in this situation, given that this team got 3-0'd earlier on by a team that has just stormed through this tournament and only gotten better as it went on. They're looking for something big right now, but you know Stingray on this map. This might be Stingray's best overall map. The triple bucket comes out. There's only one shooter on the field, and it is a Tentatech splatter shot here. Inkjet going to be a major factor here. Which team is going to go ahead and take Snipe and Overlook first? Because you know they're both of them to make a push.
Yeah, pretty predictable comps coming out from both of these teams. Mutania going back to their tried and true comp of one sloshing machine, the Splatbrella, the Rapid Blaster, and the Tentatech. On the flip side of things, Story Overnight sticking with their triple slosher comp. We're now seeing multiple specials being popped at the same time from Story Overnight, the Stingray and the Inkstorm, dueling Inkstorms, in fact, coming out one from each team, but it'll be one out by Story Overnight as they force Mutania to go 2 down. The Rainmaker sitting unpopped as of yet. Melty Kiss trying to pick it up, but a teammate will clean that up. Melty Kiss has been pretty effective as an offensive weapon, so that's definitely somebody you want available with their main weapon. Trying to ink this wall, again, getting onto each grate gives you about 15 or so points. If you make it all the way up that wall, it can get you into the low 40s, which that's the hallmark of a decent push on this map. 40 and into the 30s and 20s is actually really, really good on this map. It's very rare to see a knockout, so I would not expect to see something in the 15s or 10s. Both of these teams are going to be very heavily contesting each other. Let's see who can make it furthest.
Oh, that's a big kill right there. They were able to get it up to 4, but if that kill had not happened, it could have been even 2. Is very, very manageable. It has to be said. You can get this just as easily as it was taken right there. That's a step. That is up to the top of Overlook and 2 steps in any direction. So very, very good defense there after what looked like it could have gotten a lot further. We'll see if they're able to tell you. See Melty Kiss sharking down there at the bottom. Gonna just eat that Rainmaker alive with that tri-slosher. The Stingray gonna help put some pressure on here. Melty Kiss gonna throw it like a baseball, but get taken out by the Brella. And now another Ink Storm coming in. It seems like this entire map, this entire game, this entire set even, there's always been at least one Ink Storm up. They're just playing in the rain perpetually.
Yeah, one thing I want to note for people that may not be as familiar with Splatoon 2, you may have seen there that one of the Rainmaker carriers for Mutania tried to carry it on the ink rail. They made it almost all the way, and then they died to that tri-slosher, and the Rainmaker got reset all the way back to the starting point. That's the same way if you're trying to make a push and get some new numbers with riding the ink rail. If you don't touch ground again with your feet, you're not going to get any additional points. So you have to ensure that you hit the ground when you're using those ink rails to try and make a push here. Mutania looking for an opening here. They first have to get some map control back. The game is halfway through so far. 2 specials currently at the ready, the Inkjet and the Stingray for Mutania. Story Overnight looking to build theirs up. They do build up a Stingray. The Tri-Slosher are going to go down as well. It looks like in the form of a trade potentially to the Rainmaker as well. So the Rainmaker are going to be popped again. They're going to need those opportunities back. It's again just about execution and building up those specials. That was an interesting usage there. I believe they had their Inkjet popped. They decided just to jump down, that immediately reverting them back to their original start off point with the Inkjet. So with a 3-down situation here, it should be another opportunity for Story Overnight to maybe even extend their lead, which is kind of rare on this map.
It is kind of rare on this map, but they are looking just that. You see, they know that they can put a lot of pressure here on pressure up. The last one of them, though, is going to be Azrael on the Rainmaker. But they're all kind of in an awkward position. Azrael's going to be able to get some extra points here. They jump down, I guess thinking that maybe Azrael was already down. I don't know what they were trying to do in that situation. Azrael advanced that single-handedly. There was nobody even out of the spawn circle for them. 29, a much more daunting lead. And with just over a minute left to play, this is starting to look really, really bad for Miotonia's chances of coming back.
Yeah, Miotonia, you can tell, is trying to play a lot more aggressive, but they're getting just absolutely demolished here by a flying Splatbrella, as it were. A 2v1 situation is not one you're going to win very often. Azrael trying to keep this locked down. I know these upper streets are going to be very important because that's where Miotonia is going to try and push the Rainmaker in this final minute here. They have the Inkstorm popped at the ready here to make sure that nobody can get even close to this Rainmaker. Popping the shield, I believe that might have been even the Inkstorm that did it because they may not have wanted to pop it. Azrael looking for the final blow as well onto whichever member of Miotonia is hanging out on their street, and they say no thank you. Meltyk is actually going to try and use that wall to keep the Rainmaker away from the enemy team, but it did not work. A clever strategy in theory, but they were not able to get the practice out of it, and they will still have 30 seconds for Miotonia to try and push the Rainmaker all the way up to 28.
This is going to be it. They're really only going to get 1 or 2 tries at this, and given how time is ticking down, they've got to be very careful here. This Brella's going to have to find a pick here, or going to have to find a way to get up the Inkstorm. The Inkstorm is up, throwing it directly up there. If they can crash in on Overlook, this might be the push they're looking for. Going for a huge flank here. I don't think they know it's there. The Brella goes down. If this Rainmaker can get up here, this could be the lead. But the Rainmaker's being forced all the way back. The Stingray not going to be enough. The Stingray's out. The Tri-Slosher not going to be able to get the kill. This could be it. This can go up there. I don't think there's anything there. The Rainmaker gets a kill.
Potentially 3 down. They just have to climb up the wall. The Tri-Slosher, I think Meltykiss is the last one around. They're going to play that last line of defense. 2 going down. There's only the Tenatech and the Rainmaker carrier left alive. Oh my goodness, and that will do it. The Burst Bomb going to end this. The Sloshing Machine not able to use their Stingray. And after a 3-1 start by Miotonia, Story Overnight winning 3 games in a row just as they did in the winter semifinals and proving that they are the top overall team in this tournament, the Intergalactic Cup 2 going to Story Overnight.
How many burst bombs does Meltykiss has? I swear I counted 8 in that sequence.
Meltykiss is officially my new Tri-Slosher senpai, just to make that clear.
I think Meltykiss mains burst bombs and just happens to secondary whatever weapon they're to. Those throws were all so important. They had 3 down. They could have made the push. Meltykiss was the last one up. Like you said, throwing just enough bombs to stall them. And of course, 2 direct burst bombs does get a kill, so you can't just run haphazardly into them. But it gave the rest of the team enough time to come out. And then eventually, it was a few more bombs that got that kill. That chip damage does add up. But what an exciting way to end this tournament.
A thrilling set. I honestly could not believe it when Miotonia was just getting game after game after game, and Story Overnight was getting the early lead, and then Miotonia was coming back and taking it away from them. I'm sure, I can't imagine the emotions that were running through Story Overnight's head when they said, oh gosh, we're on the brink of being 1 forward and going into a bracket reset with Miotonia having all of the momentum. They were able to turn that around, took it 1 game at a time, 1 game 5, 1 game 6, went on to Moray Towers, and were able to get a fantastic push again. That movement up from 41 to 29, a fantastic extension of their lead, even though the other 3 members of Story Overnight were down at that time. And Miotonia was never able to recover from there. They never had the map control. Their best chance actually was in that overtime when they got 3 good picks, but the iron wall of Meltykiss with those baseballs that they were just chucking at the enemy team, Miotonia could not handle it. They went 2 down, and from there, it was the end of the match. Fantastic performance by Story Overnight, proving that they are the Inkergalactic Cup 2 champions and deserve to be there.
Yes, and I'm glad you said deserve to be there. This was one of the stacked and difficult tournaments I think I've ever seen in Splatoon 2. So many great teams that we have seen beat top Western teams. Splash was 2nd place in Platinum Cup, a team that had the best Western teams that we could offer. They got 2nd at that tournament. They did not even make top 5 at this tournament. That is how stacked this tournament was. So to Story Overnight, amazing work. A triple bucket comp, almost completely forgoing shooters. I mean, what a meta we are in right now, where shooters can be afterthoughts where you can run buckets and a Brella and still maintain enough map control to make things happen. Now, given these are all incredibly skilled players, but at the same time, that is one thing I never thought I would see in Splatoon.
Yeah, it seems like this meta is just laced with bees. We have blasters, buckets, Brellas, and burst bombs, and those are really
Bestingrays.
and Bing Bays. So that's really all you need to know is just your BBBs instead of your ABCs. So it's a very fun meta to watch. I love the fact that sloshers are in right now, especially the sloshing machine and the tri-slosher. I cannot wait to see how these teams progress and how they do in future tournaments. I really do hope that these Japanese teams that did so well will continue to enter these international tournaments that feature teams from all over the place. So again, I want to say thank you so much to everyone at IkaSportsTV for doing such a wonderful job. All of the TOs, all the translators, of course U9 for carrying this one, doing a fantastic job of holding it down in such a stacked tournament, and of course to all the viewers that tuned in over on Twitch.
And you know that I can't accept a compliment like that without throwing it back just as much. Zach, my man, your energy always spectacular, no matter the time of day, and we can absolutely say that. We've got some more work to do later today, so I won't spend too much time here talking to you because we'll get to do it a lot later as well. Also, all of my comments out to everyone who watched, everyone who played, and of course, the wonderful TO staff for putting this on. There is not enough thanks for the work that the TOs in this community put in for absolutely no pay, hours out of their life, lots of stress that, you know, not all of it gets seen. A lot of this goes on behind the scenes, a lot of these conversations. They do this because they love the game, they love the community, want to see it grow, and believe you me, we will do everything in our power to help grant your wishes because we want the same thing, you'd best believe.
Believe you me, we not only love all the people associated with this tournament, but we love this game. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're not part of the Discord, please go join the IkaSportsTV Discord. If you're not following the Twitch channel, please go do that and make sure to tune in for future tournaments. You can find 9holegrains over at Twitch or at twitter.com/9holegrains and myself at twitter.com/shinyhunterzach. This is going to do it for the Inkergalactic Cup 2. Congratulations once again are going to Story Overnight for their championship, Myotonia on second, and of course, that difficult to say Kyorateto Chinu on their third place finish.
If there are no comments from the tournament staff here, I think we'll go ahead and sign it out just like this. Don't go anywhere if you're a fan of Splatoon, an action-packed day. I know some of you watched Splatter Day Down Under yesterday, this tournament as well, and later, of course, Squid Storm series. But from all of us here at IkaSportsTV, all of us here at Inkergalactic Cup 2, we'll be signing off now. Stay fresh, everyone, and have fun in Splatfest.
야외리 말해 미래 가라 이래 주위 유미리 캐라소 이래 가리 요리해라 해유라 하라 방야라 호가라 여름마라 미 멜로디 Ciao boy, sulla bella yuli, let it pop better he. How yuli, lei la chula hali. You la li la ha me. Ya, ready, mare, dire chiara, yare. You be the chiara so, yori, era, you la ha, yara, ho, bella, yo, mi, bella, dire, chuke, dire chiara. Ciao, Benny boy, sulla bella, you let it